Boom, boom, bum, bum. Hello, how are we doing today? What do we think of the stream title? This may be the skin of a killer, Bella, but it's also the heart of a craven. I think it's pretty fun. When I was trying to change the stream title in Stream Manager, I'd originally typed, obviously, this is the skin of a killer, Bella, but this may be the skin of a killer, Bella, but it is also the heart of a coward. And Twitch was like, you're probably violating community guidelines. And I go, why? And I thought, oh, okay, maybe I can't say killer. Maybe it recognizes killer in leet speak. And so I changed that. I just take out killer altogether. Still, no dice. Twitch is like, you are poisoning the minds of the youth. And I'm like, strange. Maybe it doesn't like the word skin. Not the issue. Heart. Not the issue. Finally, I remove coward. And that was the issue. Twitch did not want me to use the word coward in my stream title. I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm not even calling someone else a coward. Technically speaking, like, I am speaking through the voice of Edward Cullen, but the person... Sorry, I'm hearing suspicious cat noises. The person who I am calling a coward is me. Every time is me. But anyway, I changed it to Craven, thanks Elden Ring, and it's fine now. I can have my edgy little stream title that references Twilight, and all is well. In any case, welcome to Wildcard Friday, wherein my brainworms manifest themselves and I do not, in fact, play a new game every week. So I started playing Vampire Survivors on my partner's Steam Deck, and that means that I didn't link the account, so I just started fresh, and I made a bunch of discoveries, and I've just done so many a thing, and so I'm just gonna continue where I left off here. But first, I gotta crack open a cold one, and to me, a cold one is a peebus. Pardon me. Well, I guess technically I call Dr. Pepper a peebus, but this guy can also be a peebus, a babeyyyyy. The sweet, cool flavor of babeyyyyy. Nope, still enjoyed it. Anyway, let's get started, and then perhaps I will remember things about my life that I can share with you. I know you're not here. Are you here for the gaming, or are you here for me? It's okay if it's for the gaming and not for me. But I'd be surprised, because I don't think I'm the bestest gamer in the world. One thing I do want to do is I want to try Mr. Yatta Cava. I don't know if it's Cavallo or Cavaggio. It's definitely Italian, because we got Miss Giovanna over here, Giovanna Grana. But look at this guy. He's just a big old guy. He's a panda, maybe, even though to me the last name means horse. But also, I'm using my controller that gets chroma keyed out today, because I realized that playing with the joystick is much easier than with, WASD, which I jokingly call WASD, because that's fun and silly to me. It's a joke that apparently only I understand, but that's okay. I call it that because of a YouTube channel I watch sometimes. One of the hosts of Drawfee said that once, and I thought it was funny, and it scratches my brain itch just right. Oh, I just realized that I forgot to tell the Discord that I'm live. Whoops! That's part of the point of having a Discord, right? You let your people know that you're live. I'm live, baby. Come survive vampirically with me. There we go. I did it. I'm a real content creator now. Yeah, that's right. We've been having a good time in the Discord, though. I'm always so stunned by how many people in the community are such wonderful artists. Holy moly. Folks have been sending their art in the Discord, and it's just beautiful. We have a collective... Whoa, sorry. Some weird setting just popped up and I couldn't move. We have a collective obsession with Fields of Mystria. So obviously there's a lot of Fields of Mystria art in the server right now, but I am not complaining. Because some of our people are such excellent stylizers, and we got some folks who are really, really good at expressions. They can... Damn, I'm flabbergasted and I'm happy. I was originally very worried about starting a Discord because I was like, oh my god, what if people don't care or they don't like it, or, you know, they're just being nice during stream but they actually don't want to have fun. I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's just the brainworms talking. Okay, the other thing that I've learned from all the runs I've done, unbeknownst to you, is that there are a few combinations that work really well. But just because I've learned that doesn't mean I remember any of it. I think I'm gonna keep buffing Laurel, and I'm gonna hold off on other weapons for now until I find one that I know I want. But some of the evolved forms of the weapons are kind of ridiculous, and it's a lot of fun. Ooh, there's a character whose weapon is 2 guns. And actually, if we can get to a good place with Mr. Panda Bear over here, we might be able to find that character, because that character is hidden in this stage in a coffin. Kind of similar to the way that we found the big titty witch. Giovanna Grana. I think is her name. And I also discovered what the evolved form of the cats is, and you know what? I'm not going to tell you because we'll probably get the cats at some point and evolve them. So just try to imagine what it could be, and I don't think it's not really what you expect. I think Attract Orb is for Santa Water, Bracer is for Magic Wand. I don't know what Hollow Heart is for. I don't remember. Let's grab Bracer. The thing is, usually I have either King Bible or Garlic by this point, so I can handle the bats better. Oh, please stop. Thank you. Oh my god. I need some levels in me. The panda is hungry. Oh, fuck. Please, let him feast. He must consume. If he cannot consume of the candy, what shall he do? Hunt? He's not a hunter. A hunter must hunt. He does not have the skin of a killer. I should expect you know that. Okay. I didn't realize this weapon of him is called Cherry Bomb. Because to me it doesn't look like a cherry bomb. It looks a little bit like mortadella. How do you say that English, like? Mortadella? It looks a little bit like mortadella. Whenever I learned a word in Portuguese first, I say it, I try to say it like you'd say it in English, but my brain gets real confused. In Portuguese, you say it mortadella. It's just a different way to, you emphasize the syllables differently. Oh no, I was not ready for the skeletons. I needed better weapons. Oy, 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 oy. Though, oh my god. One of the cherry bombs got caught between enemies and that tree, and it kept rebounding back and forth, and it did a shit ton of damage. That rules. Oh, we're gonna snag Pomarola for sure. What's really funny is that the thing you need to evolve the garlic is the Pomarola, so it's like you're making sauce, and I think that's hilarious. I see the sense of humor. There we go. And I like it. In fact, maybe I enjoy it. I like things that are silly. I'm just a silly guy. I can't deny it. So, the combo we're gonna try to go for is maxed out King Bible and maxed out Garlic. Oh, we can get Magic Wand. Did I mess up? Is it not Bracer that evolves Magic Wand? I thought it was. But we want We want King Bible and we want garlic because they both orbit the character essentially, and it's a great way to create some space around you and just generally live, survive, as it was meant to be in a game called Vampire Survivors. I'm still trying to figure out, so I figured that death that appears at the end can totally be beat. I just need to figure out how. We need Spellbinder for King Bible. We don't have King Bible yet, so let's focus on the garlic for now. The garlic. We need to empower ourselves to move forward, even if we don't roll the hand. Even if we don't get dealt the hand that we're looking for. Yeah, that's better. Oh, I found out yesterday that one of my Persian relatives is in town, and I didn't even know. And I'm gonna get to see him tomorrow. And I'm really excited, but also this means that I need to be on house cleaning duty times a million today, because they want to come walk around town, just do fun stuff, and then come hang out, have, as you'd say in Farsi, have chai va shirini. So you're having tea and you're having sweets. Because my dad was very adamant, like, no, we don't want to. I was like, so should we make dinner? Like, what are we gonna do? And my dad was like, no, we don't want to put you out, etc., etc. Taruf, which taruf is a specific brand of, like, Persian politeness, wherein when someone offers you something, you don't accept right away. Even if you want the thing, you don't accept right away. You say no, you give very polite, oh, no, thank you, like, I've already eaten, or something or the other. A very polite, gentle refusal 3 times before you then accept the thing. And that's the polite way to do things if you're Persian. And so sometimes I'll just take it at face value, but sometimes, you know, you say, nah, baba, be taught off. Like, no, don't taught off me. Like, what's your real answer? Like, if you want this thing, please tell me and I'll hand it over to you. And I think be taught off, he was like, no, let's just have tea and, like, cookies or whatever and hang out. Don't bother with dinner. Because he knows we're very busy at the moment. We got wedding planning, we got taking care of the house, there's some friends we need to visit, like, we've got a whole docket of things awaiting us. As far as wedding planning goes, I am going to be organizing my dress finding today. At the very least, I'm gonna text the people who have offered to help me and be like, okay, let's make a plan, or if making a plan over text is difficult, let's, like, find a time when we can sit down at a coffee shop or something, chat, and help me have something to wear at the wedding, please, sooner rather than later, because I know I'm already late on the uptake. Like, I am aware of this. Like, a lot of people start planning, like, years in advance, or at least a full year in advance for their wedding. I definitely didn't do that. And also, I guess, I don't know if I never really thought I would get married. I don't know. I've explored this in therapy a bit. I don't need to give you the full therapy notes, but I don't know. I just thought if it happened, it would be, like, later or incidental or something like that. It's one of those things where you gotta impress upon yourself and your mind that actually you're worthy of being loved and of having the things you want. So I never really did the, I don't know, the expected / stereotypical / imposed, like, oh my god, I'm gonna plan my wedding years in advance, and these are all the things I want, and this is the dress I want to wear. I don't know any of that. Because I also struggle to know what I want generally, just in everyday life. So when it comes to decisions that feel like they have more weight, I have even more trouble. Oh, there's our King Bible! Beautiful. So we have our garlic, we have our King Bible, we just need to get a tracked orb, and then everything else is kind of incidental. Once we level those up enough, we don't have to worry about all of the critters that are pursuing us. We can simply charge for that top right corner and see who the hell's in that coffin. in any case, all I was saying is that I'm gonna plan, um, uh, I'm gonna plan an outing with my friends so I can try on some dresses, figure out what looks good on me, what I like, and then I can get a dress. Because I do... Oh, we gotta stay ahead of this. I do really like Toyota Matoshi's designs. If you don't know who she is, maybe you know the strawberry dress that just took the internet by storm a couple years ago. That designer is called Lyrica Matoshi, but Toyota Matoshi is just her sister, who is also a designer. And they have similar but diverging design philosophies as far as I can tell. I'm not a fashion designer by any means, but I really like the dresses she makes. I just don't know... I don't have a good sense for what colors I like on me and what styles I think look good. So I'm willing to order a dress online, especially like if I can have someone who knows what they're doing, like do my measurements. I just think I need to go out and try things on so I can figure out what the hell I even want. But I'm definitely gonna go non-traditional. I don't want to wear a white dress. It's not that white looks bad on me, it looks fine. But I don't like all of the history and the implications behind the white wedding dress. It's just not for me, man. I wouldn't be able to let it go. And also, I don't like to buy clothing that you can't really wear for other events. So I want my wedding dress to be something that I can break out for other fancy events and things like that. I want to be able to wear it without it immediately being clocked as a wedding dress. So I'm not going white. I'm going, ooh, spooky, non-traditional. I think I want to do something that's a cool color. Not cool as in like, oh yeah, that's awesome, but cool as in the cool color tone. So maybe a pink or purples or blues. That's the... That fucking rules. That's so good. In any case, I was just saying I wanna do something in like a pink, purple, blue color family. Those are generally the colors we're looking at as far as like theming goes too. So we're telling our guests, yeah, dude, you can wear black, you can wear like black with accents of like pink, purple, blue, silver, and obviously all of my siblings and my cousins, many of whom are in fact queer / part of the LGBT community, are like, oh my god, I can finally wear my incredibly fancy black outfit that I can never wear to any fucking weddings because like you're not supposed to wear black to a wedding. Because, oh no, is it too sad? Is it too drab? Is it too reminiscent of a funeral? That kind of thing. But nope. We told our friends, like, we want you to look hot. We want you to feel hot. Be sexy. Dress slutty. Do your thing. I am really excited, actually, to see what all of my friends and family decide to wear. Although I think my mom is going to want more guidance than just look slutty. I don't think I'd even say that to her, actually. Like, I could, but she would give me a look of, like, that makes me uncomfortable. Free Jennifer. I'm realizing that Attract Orb isn't what I need, because it was Spellbinder, right? Oh, shit. I can't remember. Look, Jennifer can be free. I just don't know how free she actually wants to be. Attract Orb is for Santa Potter. That was so right. I think I'm gonna give people, like, as much guidance as they actually want. Like, for my older brother, I just said, hey, you can wear black if you want, dress slutty, and he was like, perfect, I got you. But I feel like some other folks are gonna want a little more guidance. Like, I think my mom's side of the family is generally, I was gonna say more repressed, but just, I think they prefer to have a little more guidance. They're definitely a little more traditional, just in the realm of things like weddings and stuff like that. And that's gonna be interesting to see, because I don't think this wedding is gonna be very traditional at all. Like, we're being spooky and goth and dramatic and queer. Oops, I'm really excited. In the moments when I can banish the terrible feeling of being overwhelmed from my mind, I am overcome with incredible excitement. Dragon! Welcome to stream, our favorite lizard! Hello, what's up? How are you doing? I hope you're doing well on this lovely Friday. Oh, yes! The other thing I was really excited about. Oh, yeah. Is this the coffee shop you, like, go to frequently? Because I feel like you've mentioned before that just for whatever reason, they're kind of quiet about announcing the orders, or sometimes they just don't do it. Okay, same chain. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But dude, so I know I've mentioned that I'm lino cutting the stamp for my wedding invitation. I just sat down and did it yesterday, and I was so worried that I'd like fucked it up too much and that we weren't going to be able to use it. But it actually came out pretty good. I am stoked. I am stoked that it worked. I just need to clean up a few parts where ink is being like, where, you know, it's like the carving's still a little too tall. And then I need to ask the wonderful, beautiful world of Google and possibly YouTube about, you know, methods for making sure you've got the right amount of ink on the stamp. Because it's definitely, like, my stamp, when I did a couple tests, was over-inked. But I'm so excited. And I also, now it means I get to face the problem of, like, rigging a little cardstock stamping station so I can line up the corners and make sure everything is, I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but the whole point, like, the whole energy of it is not for it to be perfect. It's for it to be cool and fun and just badass. And this is great, because that means that we'll actually be able to send the invitations out. My partner's working on the, they're working on the wedding website. It's good. We're good, and we're cool, and things are moving. I just need to do, wedding dress things. Which maybe I'll text you later, and you can, I don't know, you can help me with my brain. Yes, and I can keep the stamp. Yeah, we figured that we want to send out, like, a cool, fun mood piece of an invite, and, like, fitting all the information on there isn't feasible. And having people, like, mail back RSVPs is complicated. So we're like, let's do a website. Hell yeah. I feel like you could be great help. I'm gonna try to coordinate things today, but I've got a lot on my plate. I think my first thing is, I think I will assign you a task, if that's okay. And then I'm gonna text my other friend who offered to help and see what we can do to coordinate. But yes, we're moving, we're schmoving. And also, this game has such a hold on me. It's really bad. It's all I can think about. It's all I want to play. It's dopamine machine, baby. Although, I feel like my brain has to be kind of rotten, because as I am playing this game, my brain is also going, but what about the Horse Girl racing game? You should play more of the Horse Girl racing game. And I'm like, Brain, you mean Uma Musume? You sure? And it's like, do it. Play it, do it. I'm like, okay. What should our next weapon be? You know what? Let us get Santa Water. I think Santa Water could be a really helpful weapon at this juncture. And then Attract Orb to pair with Santa Water is gonna go well. Alright, beautiful. You will be on my list today. I hope that makes you feel excited. I'm gonna make a nice bullet journal list. I need to clean the house. And I'm feeling a little down these past few days. I'm struggling with my mood. But I think today I feel better. I didn't start the day... Well, I started the day feeling grumpy because I woke up and I didn't feel well rested. We got ultimate garlic. But I am feeling better. I'm feeling more motivated. I have more energy. And that's good because I need it. I also need to remember to take a boost, a bump, as we call it, of my ADHD meds after stream. So, because I need to do that when I need to be functional and productive after like 4 p.m. Because, you know, I take my meds in the morning, they start to taper off throughout the day. It is what it is. But yes, if we can just get King Bible upgraded, then we'll be able to have the engine necessary to go in search of a really cool character who's got 2 guns. we want the Mrs. Double Guns. Mrs. Double Guns is our new best friend. I don't stay at the Hilton Doubletree. I stay at the Hilton Double Gun. Is that a good joke? Excuse me. I think I am immediately karmically paying for my bad joke. Okay. I want to go this way. The giant mantises are kind of overwhelming. I'm gonna be for real. I wonder if they're all ladies and that's the problem. 2 guns are swinging both ways. What just happened? Why did they all get borked? Whoa. Oh, that's gems for days, baby. Sometimes I don't understand what happens in this game and why. But you know, I'm not gonna fight it. If an entire screen of enemies is gonna decide to die, that's fine with me. Do your thing. Okay. I mean, we're doing pretty good with the King Bibles so far. It's just we're looking for optimal. Pretty good's not good enough. Oh gosh. I have another update. Dora's belly no longer looks like raw chicken. And by that I mean, I think she's starting to let it heal. Which is good news. She's still going to the vet. I brought her crate down yesterday morning. No, yesterday night. And I spritzed some cleaning fluid in it, and Beans was too close and went and it was very funny, but also I felt really bad. And I put it in the kitchen, and I'm now putting her food in the carrier. Last night, she played the whole game of like, oh, mother, I do not know where my food is. But I went and sat on the couch, and I was like, I'm gonna leave her to it, she'll figure it out. And then when I came back, she'd consumed all her food. And this morning, she walked right into the carrier, still her 2 little back legs sticking out, but she ate her breakfast, no complaints. She still freaks out when she hears an exterior noise while she's eating in the carrier, but it's only day 2 of retraining her with the carrier, so all things considered, I think we're doing really well. Because Girly Pop's got to get her head in the game. Oh, we got evolved King Bible. The engine is roaring, rum rum. Oh, that's goofy. That's too goofy. But yes, I'm doing that. It's all good. Somehow, it's already time for me to clean the litter boxes again. And it's sad but true. I live in a house with box shitters, but they're box shitters of my choice. Okay, I'm gonna wait for more creatures to approach before I grab that crucifix so that we can make the most of it. Oh, there we go. I was trying to get as close as possible without picking it up. And I got too close. Because I wasn't sure, because I have the attract orb now. Oh, there's another one! Holy moly. Okay. If I had the cats, I'd be worried, because the cats can pick up items that are on the ground. Alright, I think now might be a good time. Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. Oh, still just one. But I like to play chicken with my with my floor items sometimes. Be warned, it frequently backfires. There's one, I need to figure out exactly how the pentagram works. Shit, I suddenly find myself in hot water. Hello, help. But there's a weapon that's a pentagram. And it says it clears all the monsters on the screen. Or in the circle. And sometimes it leaves the gems behind, and sometimes it does not. And I can't figure out when it does what. I guess I'll grab the crown. I don't know what goes with what. Maybe I should have focused on victory. Oh god. Once this craziness subdues a little bit, I can just run upwards. But said craziness is a little bit too crazy. Okay. Okay. Oh, we're on plant stage. I should probably just go. Oh, I should get the wings. I should have been buffing my speed. Okay, well, now I know. Now I know. Okay. Leave me alone. I wish to go to the upward zone. I rise through the flowers. Maybe I should wait for the flowers to disperse. This is wild. But will they ever disperse? Oh, I could do with one of them fiery burritos. Oh, guess what? Guess what? It's fiery burrito time. Fiery burrito is the best. Okay. Beautiful. Ah! We keep getting one-taps. I don't know why I call them one-taps, because that's not how that word works, but here we are. Alright. I think we're doing pretty good. We're almost at another level. Give to me the next level. Wings! Red Bull gives you wings. Honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna make it to that coffin. I've dawdled. I've dilly-dallied. My dalliances. I've allowed them to stop me, to halt my progress ever upwards. Although I did find, once I got to the vaguely correct area, I struggled to find the coffin the other day. I was like, I'm here, but where is the coffin? I'm at the spot on the map. Also, if you don't know that you can use a map in Vampire Survivors, you should. We're trying to go to that top right question mark over there. 7 minutes? Maybe we can do it. Ooh. if I dispatch these fellows efficiently. If I hypotenuse a little. Hypotenuse? Hypotenuse? Yep, hypotenuse. You ever employ hypotenuse strats? I find myself employing them constantly. Ooh, whoops, 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 whoops. I find myself employing death strats? Whoops. Yeah, this guy's not my favorite character. The cherry bombs do evolve nicely, though. I don't know what their final evolution is. Oh, everyone stops. Get out of my way. Out of the way, out of the way. Oh, I forgot that when they're frozen, I can touch them. It doesn't matter. I am impervious when they are time frozen. Maybe I should have gotten the clock land set to allow for some free movement. Okay. Okay. How are we doing? Ooh. Sir, we need another wing upgrade. This song reminds me of a... Is it a Fleetwood Mac song that I'm thinking of? I couldn't tell you. I don't know which one it is. Thunder only happens when it's raining. Players only love you when they're playing. I get an incredible earworm from that song, which is, oh, women. So I walk around saying, women. They will come and they will go. You know. Oh. Gosh. Oh, I got another poetry rejection the other day. I feel like the world's not been very kind lately. It's been like, oh, you gotta talk to roofers. Oh, you got poetry rejection. Oh, you got bad news this, bad news that, bad news bears. Oh, it's Giant Plant Lady. Hello. She is the commander of the plant lesbians. How are you doing today, ma'am? Can I interest... Oh, she's already dead. Can I interest you in some rapidly circulating bibbles? Do you care to explore the bibble of the lard? Yeah, Dora. You loafing? We got a pristine loaf over here. Oh, excuse me. Oh. If we get one more chest, and we can evolve our wand. Our magic wand to max. I feel like I'm a little bit low level for this late in the game, but it's because I'm trekking. Oh, we've gone too high up. We gotta go right. We didn't employ the hypotenuse strats as effectively as we should have. Ladies! Boop, 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 boop. Okay, okay. Is it gonna be along a roadway? Okay. We're almost there. Where is coffin? Oh no. Oh no. Oh, we're gonna cut it close with the coffin. Shit. Well, shit. Okay, okay. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Santa. Oh, okay. It's some... Oh, here it is, here it is! Coffin, baby! Okay. We got it, we got it. We're gonna free the cool gun lady. Just give me a moment. I clear off all her, I don't know, terrible suitors? I don't know, man. Okay. Let's fucking go! We got her! Hello? Oh, the vampire's in another coffin? Cheeky Mario reference. Pugnala provola. He's got guns. We're gonna play with her next. Because she's got guns. We're gonna just shoot guns in the what the fuck is it called? In the dairy plant. The dairy factory. The Moo connection. I don't know. Wings! It's a little bit late for that upgrade, but okay. We're definitely not beating death this round. I don't even have the knowledge to combine upgraded weapons yet. So it's simply not gonna happen. I feel like by this point I've usually exhausted my upgrades, and yet here I am, still upgrading. I need 6 eggs! I need a chest. I don't think they're gonna give me any chests. I think that's it for me. It's just not gonna happen. All these guys are highlighted, but for what purpose? To drop red XP? It's rude. Because I'm pretty sure... Yeah, my wand and my Santa water are at max level. But I don't think they're gonna get the upgrade. Doop, 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 doop. We could just kind of go anywhere now. Wings! You cannot outlast me. Ooh, bats. This isn't even the worst screen I've ever encountered. I had one where I was using upgraded guns, upgraded cross, and lightning. That one was really bad. I couldn't tell what the hell was going on. It was kind of ridiculous. I mean, this one's kind of tame, all things considered. Now we're just having fun. Oh wait, there's a chest! Are you gonna upgrade me? Oh, I just realized that I almost died. Silly me. I was just walking around with impunity. Oh, see, now we have upgraded Santa water, but why? We're 17 seconds away from the end. And we're not gonna survive death. Not like this. Especially not with partial health. I'm a frickin' dummy out here. Ooh. Okay, but we got floor chicken. We're just gonna keep floor chickening. Oh shit, oh shit. No, 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 no. So I've got Laurel, but it's gonna run out. Dang it. Okay. But that's okay. We did. Oh, look! We got Croachy! And we got Hyper Mad Forest. And we unlocked our cool lady. And we unlocked character customization? We evolved the King Bible. We did so many new things. Oh man, we unlocked hyper mode for any stage. Excellent. I think we can power things up now. Extra might. Extra projectile speed. Now let's make sure I have enough money for the new characters. Okay, hold on. Where's my gun lady? There she is. Pugnala provola. Oh, girl, let's go to the dairy plant. So she's got guns, and it's cool. She got 2 guns, and they go together, and it's great. Let's get guns and lightning. We're gonna try to go for the least visibly legible screen. Where you can't tell what's happening and you just have to go with it. You gotta keep your head in the game. You gotta Troy Bolton your way through. I take Laurel every time because I think she bails me out and I don't even realize it. Like when I need to run through a crowd of enemies every now and then, just because I'm stuck in the middle and I don't know how to save myself. Yeah. And I don't know if I actually have the companion to the guns, if I've unlocked the buff that'll do that. I can't remember how I did that, but you know, I'll find out eventually. Let's take the clock lancet. I don't know what it takes to upgrade the clock lancet. And I don't think I have what it takes to upgrade the clock lancet. I think we're also gonna take, if Pichon shows up, the little white bird. Because it's important to use the weapons that you don't usually use. Because playing with them for a certain amount of time tends to unlock other things, other weapons that maybe you do want to use, or weapons that improve the weapon you don't like enough that you're gonna enjoy it. It's a tricky little thing, but I really like games that push you to play with weapons that you ordinarily wouldn't use. Let's upgrade our guns. We love to be more powerful. I also love that she walks around with like one hand on her hip. Like, that's right, I'm strutting. You canna stop me. I don't even care that there are animals around. Animals? Terrible creatures around because I have guns. What can they do in the face of guns? Can Michael Myers stand up to an AR-15? Oh, it's Bichon! And somehow I've already filled up all my weapons. Incredible. Bichon is also so terrible to look at on screen once you evolve it further. Holy moly. Hopefully you'll get to experience the chaos as I have experienced the chaos. Oh no. Also, this lady, I was realizing that different characters have different stats, so she walks fairly quickly to begin with. Whereas the big panda guy we were playing earlier was a slow walker. I don't know if you can notice the difference. But she's a fast walker. And I can appreciate that. Like, go off. Go off, queen. Oof. Oh, duplicator. Yes! Yes! My partner was telling me that they have started calling games like Vampire Survivors, instead of bullet hells, they're bullet heavens, because you are the one dispersing the bullets. And I like that so much. I love that. I am the bullet boss. I'm the bullet man. You will never find out from where these bullets emanate. It's a secret. Ooh. Obviously the answer is ass. These are ass bullets, I'm sorry. Please don't be mad. Please don't be mad. These bullets come from my ass. I have no other explanation. Oh, we gotta take down that Minotaur. He thinks he's still in Daedalus's labyrinth. I regret to inform you, Mr. Bull, that you've reached the dairy plant. Okay, so we don't have the upgrade for the guns, and I don't know if there's a way to upgrade the Laurel, and we don't have the upgrade for the Bichon. So I can do whatever I want. Okay. I like me a little Pomerola. Let's do that guy. Because I will inevitably get hit. Because I walk into things all the time by mistake. I forget about my little tootsies and then get them caught on like a Minotaur or an armored lizard, and then I'm sad because my health is low. Whoop! I didn't need to eat that chicken. Beautiful. I think I have simply become so much better at this game. And it's not because of anything I've done. I think it's just that I'm using a joystick. I truly believe it is the power of the tool, not of the user. Because I don't see why I would have become so much better at it. Or maybe it's just that I've learned which weapons work well with each other. Like, this run feels a little bit doomed. That's okay. Everyone is owed their own amount of doom. Like, you can get some personal doom. It's only fair that you get your own share of doom. Increases duration of weapon effects by 10%. Augments, let's go augments area of attacks by 10%. I don't know exactly how that affects attacks that aren't AoE, but I can find out. Maybe the pichon, 10% probably wouldn't be noticeable. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. Oh. We're gonna get the duplicator. Oh, look at that. I think this might be my favorite weapon in the game. It's just so good. I think it's because it's just OP. Even from the beginning, when it's shooting only a little bit, it's so OP. Oh my god. Honestly, the challenge mode is to play with the weapons that start out really shitty. And actually, I was playing a run with the cats, and they killed me. Because, the cats, yes, are your weapon, they're your projectiles, but also, when they touch you, when you touch them, they hurt you. So a cat did in fact deliver the final blow. Because I wasn't doing great to begin with, obviously, but boy, oh boy, it was kind of upsetting. So I was like, man, my own ally, but it was really true to life, so I couldn't be that mad. They also kept eating my floor chicken. So they kept eating my floor chicken and then bumping into me and scratching me, and I lost to my own chip damage is what I'm saying. It's fine. It's okay. I was gonna say I'll survive, but I didn't. I simply didn't. In good news, we have learned that when Beans decides in the middle of the night that she really needs to leave the room, and so she sits at the door in our bedroom and just cries, if we ignore her, she'll actually stop. It'll take a few minutes, but she'll stop. I was surprised because I thought she wouldn't, because in my past dealings with Dora, she does not stop. And maybe it's because I was giving her behavior attention in some way, but I remember I used to try to ignore her when she was just yelling for food in the middle, like at 4 in the morning, and she wouldn't stop, even if I ignored her and ignored her and ignored her. But I'm gonna try it. Like, from now on, when she is in the kitchen yelling and I can't go to her, I'm gonna stop calling out to her, because maybe she'll be like, okay, mother of mine is unavailable. I shall move on to a different activity. I don't know if it'll work. And this is why it's an experiment. A cat experiment that you don't need to shudder about. Oh, yeah. Okay. We're gonna upgrade our pichon and our gun. Okay. We got 2 upgrades out of that. That's pretty good. Let's see if we can get this guy right here while he's frozen. Yes! Oh, guns for the win. Oh, it's just fun. But it's fine. It's fine. Clock Lancet. Acceptable. Acceptable, but not ideal. This makes me want to do a run. Once I've collected all of the weapons, I would like to do a run that's only creatures. I wonder if there are enough creaturely weapons. Just creatures. Just little guys. Damn. Oh, 8. The sparrow is only level 2? Uh-oh. It's no good. I need both guns to be incredibly powerful. This is not the way. Oh, yep, yep. Do we have... Oh my god, there's also a coffin on this level? Is there a coffin on every level? Holy moly, that's cool. Okay. So we need to get the engine going so we can have a run at that coffin in the bottom right. Damn, okay. Can you tell? I love to discover the secrets. The secrets in the mist? Oh, young Goodman Brown, you've made it out of the forest, have you? But you've left something very important behind. Is it faith you were looking for when faith is what you had all along? Anyone understand that niche reference to a Nathaniel Hawthorne short story called Young Goodman Brown? I do really enjoy Nathaniel Hawthorne's short stories. He's best known, I think, for writing The Scarlet Letter and, like, The House of Seven Gables. I almost said Anne of Green Gables. That's crazy. House of Seven Gables. But his short stories cover a lot, like, they cover similar themes as The Scarlet Letter. The Scarlet Letter does have a lot of really, really cool moments, and I encourage you to read it. Even though as a 9th grader, I really struggled to read The Scarlet Letter, it didn't keep my attention. I eventually did read it, and it was really good. It took a little... Yes, 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 yes. Anyway, I just needed to get invested. I was struggling with the fact that the language is a little dense, and I think I was feeling self-conscious because the language being difficult for me to parse made me feel like I was dumb, and I'm incredibly sensitive to the very possibility that I am not smart. It scares me. It really scares me in a way that's not productive. It's not the, like, healthy fear of, like, ooh, I'm scared of that happening, so I'm gonna, like, work on making sure it doesn't happen. It's the, like, non-productive, oh god, I'm worried that that's happening. I'm just gonna sit in that worry and that fear. Why do they get to go in the milk? I want to traverse the milk. Hey! Hey! Gimme! Let me in! I don't know why I want. I don't know. I just think it would be fun to swim in the milk pool. Thumbs up if you'd like to swim in the milk pool. I usually like to take comfort in the fact that I've said worse things, but I'm not so sure about that one. Oh god. There's a lot going on in here. I could sure use a little bit of floor chicken right now. Or a Pomarola assist. Hey, leave me alone. Hey, yo, way. That's not floor chicken, that's cash money. That's cold, hard cash. If only I could use... No. If only I could use my cold, hard cash to buy floor chicken. My life would be much improved. Okay. Chill. Everybody breathe. It's fine. Oh, the skeletons are here for me. Oh, we could definitely use an upgrade on that Laurel. For sure. Alright, we recovered our HP. Decently recovered it. Do we have a... There's an attract orb vaguely to my left. That could be useful, because I feel like I've killed many a creature, but not collected the spoils. Oh. Where? Oh, no. Okay. Shit. This is gonna be it, isn't it? Oh, no. I thought I was doing okay. I thought. Bitch, you thought? I thought. Okay. Stop. Okay, keep going. We're gonna grab that attract orb. Okay, we're almost there. There it is. Yes. Okay, hopefully Yeah. Okay. We're gonna grab spinach for might and keep going. Lightning ring, spinach, lightning ring, lightning ring. Okay. It's better. I feel a little better about this. I feel like there's definitely a lot of stuff I left behind still. God, oh me, oh my. Laurel, more laurel. This is terribly terrifying. Oh. I think garlic is gonna be critical in this stage. Oh no, this is it. This is it for me. Punalia. I forget her name. It was something with a G and an N, which it's not pronounced like a G and an N. This is Italian. Oh, wait, maybe it's not the end. Maybe we're making moves here. Let's grab the wings so we can walk even faster. Okay. Come on, hit me with an upgraded something. Have I... Nope. Okay, I haven't reached a level 9 in something that can be upgraded. Woof. It's rough. Oop. Okay. Lightning ring. I have the necessary upgrade support buff for lightning ring. Oop. We've got also a red gemstone over there. Okay. Level 8. Oh, fine, give me the pichon. Give me the spinach. So it's looking rough, but we're recovering. Spinach. Yeah. Okay, give me the lightning ring. Okay. No. Oh, we're already changing the enemies. No, I'm not ready. You don't understand. Vampire survivors, you don't understand. I want to survive. Please. If I am to survive the horde, I need to upgrade my lightning. Honestly, we could grease this lightning. That's not grease, man. I don't know why greased lightning is so viscerally disgusting to me, the very notion of it. I know the idea is that, like, wow, it's so fast! And I'm like, ugh. I don't know what you had to do to that lightning to grease it, and I don't think I want to find out. We're gonna walk through those guys. Alright. We're suffering over here. We're gonna keep going. Okay. Hypotenuse strats are in play. Oh, okay. Now we just need to go horizontally. Well. Okay, beautiful. These minecarts are everything except when I accidentally send them over to the side when I didn't need to. Hey, but that's the beauty of surviving the vampires. Or being a vampire survivor. I have confirmed that we are in fact the ones that are surviving. Because when you find a new character, it says they've joined the survivors. So we are in... Whoa! We got a big old Whoa! Look at him! It's freaking Merman, King Triton, etc. Yo! Are we in the past? Is that Ariel's dad? Oh, shit. Yo, King Triton, what's up, man? I am gonna kill you. It's just, I can't stop now. I need to kick his ass. How else am I gonna establish dominance? Yo, dominance established. He was boring. Oh, we've got upgraded lightning ring. Let's go, clink. Cheers. Okay. I don't know, Hollow Heart, man. Let's go. We need to head over to the side to try to find a coffin, yeah? We're almost there. Hold on. Where are you? Beep beep. Let's see. Oh, guess what? Guess what? We found the coffin. We just need to find our way through. God, those guys are oh, no, 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 no. Oh, shit. Okay. I gotta be careful. I gotta be so careful. Not being careful enough. Oh, no. Oh, I think I do need to kill them all. That's unfortunate because I'm perishing as we speak. Fuck. Pomerola, please do some work. Oh, fuck. I found a ground chicken. Holy moly. We need to get out of here. We need to go somewhere that's got more floor chicken. Holy moly. I need to level myself up a little bit. Level up Might. Level up Laurel. Pomerola. I think that'll help quite a bit. I think the problem is that I've got my diagonals covered. I say it like that, diagonals. But my X and Y axis? God dang. I am vulnerable. Oh, not the frickin' jellyfish. Get me out of here, boss. God, no, I wasn't ready. I wish I had my bestie Garlic. My emotional support, Garlic. Okay. We're gonna do Hollow Heart again. Oh, we got him! Who is it? Who is it? Thank you, puñala provola. But the vampire is in another coffin. Who are you? It's another hot lady! Oh! Whoop, hold on. I got too excited that it was a hot lady. Yo! Is that just Poppy? Or Popeye? What are we doing here? Are we good? Are we good? Okay. My green screen's playing tricks on me. Popeye pecorina. Girl, are you pecorino romano? Cause you're making me nutty. And that's a joke playing on the nutty undertones of pecorino romano cheese. That's right, I got cheese jokes. Oh shit, we saved her only to Whoa, woof! We saved her only to ourselves perish in the process, god dang. But that's how you know it's a real love story. Pichon! Pichon! Hello, Pichon. Oh, good. We gotta get out of here. We gotta get the fuck out of here. Fuck it. Pichon me? Scheisse. Okay, this is fine. We're fine. Oh no, the Triton men are normal now. Chicken. I swear, playing this game has done more work to, unvegetarianize me than anything else on this earth. Like, I have such a bad craving for rotisserie chicken right now, and I don't know what to make of it. I was dreaming about eating chicken the other night, and I felt really horrified. Because usually the thing that gets me about eating creatures is that they're creatures. I look at the food and all I see is the creature. And now Vampire Survivors is kind of being like, no, the floor chicken is of the utmost importance. It is your reliable sustenance. How could you scorn it when it is the key to your survival? And I'm like, I mean, so true, I guess. So fair. Oh, God. Okay. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh, there's a chicken. I should hang out. Oh, no, I accidentally used it. God dang it. Oh, shit. Oh, this is so bad. I've never seen the dairy plant like this before. I've never gotten really that far in the dairy plant. Oh, whoa. No, we melted. Oh, that's okay. We've discovered some things about the dairy plant. Oh, we unlocked ebony wings. That means we can we need to see what happens when you combine, excuse me, Pichon with the ebony wings. All right. Power up. Ooh, that's expensive. Let's grab one growth. And then let's play with babeyyyyy. Gains plus 1% duration every level. Her weapon looks like it's just poetry, and I'm so into that. Let's go. Let's go, bestie. Her weapon's vertical. Song of Mana. Boost. Oh. Okay, so the way is we get Song of Mana and we get the fucking guns. It's Song of Mana, twin guns, garlic, and King Bible. Song of Mana, twin guns, garlic, King Bible. You get 1, 2, 3. You get 6. I'm obsessed. But this time, okay. This time around, we're gonna grab ebony wings and we're gonna grab Pichon also, because I'm really curious. Because also that can help us build out the creature run. I'm sure there must be a couple other weapons that are creatures. Wow, it's so pretty. Look at this Song of Mana, dude. Honestly, Wordsworth totally could have written a poem that was called Song of Mana. I might need to write a poem called Song of Mana now. But how would it go? On stream, all I'm able to do is say dumb bullshit, so don't expect me to actually write poetry on stream. Not yet. We're not there yet. Okay, that's good to know. We've got a spicy burrito waiting for us in that corner. We're gonna grab reduce weapon cooldown for now. I don't know if that's spicy burrito or if it's a block of pimento cheese. Could be either. Oh, it's so powerful. She can just move up and down in a beautiful, beautiful sparkly fairy column. Oh my god. I'm obsessed. Yes, Dora? What's up? I feel like she was over there inspecting the... I'm gonna grab Crown, first of all. Inspecting the carrier to see if there was more food in it. I hope that's what she was up to. Because this morning, I left my breakfast sandwich that my partner made for me unattended for maybe 2 minutes while I was in the kitchen. And I came back and there was a gigantic ravenous bite missing from it. And Dora, like, looked up like... And she's very cute, but Bestie, you don't need to be eating eggs and like mayo and butter. And I mean, maybe I don't need to be eating that, but the proportion of mayonnaise to body for me is much better than it is for her. She's so small, such a little kitten. Just a biscuit. My biscuit. Okay. Oh man. We are so emo. Our only weapons are the written word and a dark bird. Oh, maybe I should have grabbed Spellbinder. Well. Oh well. Here I am. Here I am, once again. Just kidding! Ooh. We're doing it. I know it maybe it was a little preemptive, but I wanted it. I wanted it badly enough. Yes! I'm gonna hold on. I'm just gonna hold on to it for now. Ah, it's just one. Damn. Okay, good. What level are we? Level 6. Oh! I love it. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. I'm obsessed with the glitz and glam with the sparkle. Ebony wings, baby. Where's Pichon? Give me Pichon. We need ivory and ebony and perfect harmony, etc., songwriting, okay? Can also do that. It's pretty weak right now, but just watch. Just watch as its power grows. Okay. We got this. We got this. Ebony. Ivory. Oh. Really? Give me the Pichon. Pichon. I think that gets stored in the same part of my brain that goes poisson. Poisson. It's just all beeps and boops. Oh my god. Dora, have you consciously noticed the shrimps for the second time in your life now? You looking at them? You looking at the shrimpies? Oh, I could have grabbed Laurel. I should have grabbed Laurel. I was reacting. I was just simply being a reactionary. Okay. Beautiful. Ah, beautiful. I love to be a pretty little princess who has incredible destructive power. It's powerful. Ooh. Fine, I'll take the Laurel. Fine, I'll be smart, I'll be tactical. Like, even the cunty bar wench can be tactical. And that's not coming out of nowhere. You see this outfit, right? That's cunty bar wench core right there. Yeah, we're gonna get him. We got him in our sights. Get him, boys. Get him, boys. Yeah. We're just gonna keep hitting him with this sparkly slinky. He's in the elevator to hell, baby. Yeah, he is. And now he's just in hell. Hello, and welcome. Happy Friday. We have achieved bar wench status in Vampire Survivors, aka I found this character and she's dressed like this. And her weapon is literally a column of sparkles emanating from what I can only assume is poetry, right? It has to be. It is so beautiful. I'm obsessed. Like, she's girly popping so hard. Also, how are we doing? I'm out here living my best vampire life. Skin of a killer. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Oh, send the minecart. Send him, send him. I'm nervous. I feel like Dairy Plant starts off so calm, and then it betrays you. Where? Okay, we've got an attract orb somewhere over here. Like, okay. It's probably at the next set of lockers. Let's keep going. Sparkles. No one can dim my sparkle. Yes, yes! Arise! Oh, garlic. Oh. Oh, I nerfed myself. Woof. Oh, it's so good. Okay, I'm gonna need to invest in other weapons, huh? We so handily took care of those ghosts, though. Okay. I was about to say, I just want to be able to upgrade my gun more, and guess what? Gun upgrade presented itself. It's beautiful. I feel like we are the maiden who gets things done with the power of her intelligence and her word. And also we have a gun, because sometimes words aren't enough. Because if people don't want to listen and they're too dumb to talk to us, not too dumb intellectually, but too, like, stubborn about their ways, well, we got other means of convincing them. Okay, oh, I need to leave the one slot open for Pichon. Except we're at 7 minutes and we still don't have him. I wonder if we're gonna be able to upgrade him up. Oh man. Alright, hit me. Oh! Got a freaking triple, baby! Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Decent enough. Whoa. Oh. I think I want to keep making the cooldown shorter and shorter so that we eventually just have a constant column of glitter. That would be cool. I would fuck with that. I really like the red version of these monsters because they're very tomato coated. I just imagine they're little ketchup guys who love to drink ketchup for fun. I don't know why. Oh shit. Who's this guy? Is he... Whoa. Whoa. I don't think I didn't... Oh, man. I didn't have Song of Mana for long enough. Fuck. Damn. Well. We're going with her again. Ooh, not yet discovered. Bonus. Ooh. Arctic mirages. Interesting. I think we're gonna give the dairy plant a rest and enter the mad forest once again. Oh, hello. Hello, bats. Care to be struck down by the might of my glitter? Aha. Aha. Clock Lancet. Oh my gosh! Thank you so much for the subscription! Oh! I appreciate that so much! Oh, that rules! Fuck yeah, fuck them ads! Beautiful. Beautiful. You deserve a smattering of glitter. Not in real life, because that shit's difficult to get rid of. But, you know, to get emotional glitter. You want some emotional glitter? Okay, we're gonna try bird strats again. So now we have Pichon, but we need, like, the ebony wings or whatever the hell his name is. We need Pichon's goth girlfriend to show up. Otherwise, we're not gonna be having a good time. Yoo-hoo! Pichon Darth? Goth girlfriend! Okay. I truly think that build that I was cooking up in my mind of, like, the 2 guns, the magical poetry, and then, like, garlic and King Bible, that might be the end game guy. Except that's not end game for survival at the end though. Guess we'll take Hello Heart. Because I don't want to fuck around with the pentagram right now. The pentagram I still find very confusing. I don't know when it leaves the... When it take away just enemy, and when it take away enemy and gem alike. And I don't want to fuck around with that. It's too much uncertainty. I could look it up, but I would prefer not to. In the words of Bartleby the Scrivener, I would simply prefer not to. Right. We do need some other weapons as well. trying to think now what's most effective. Maybe I will grab the axe. The axe goes with a cracked orb, I think. Oop. There we go. Which could be a good combo. Reduce weapon cooldown. Do I have the grimoire? Okay. So I should probably get then, just based on this, we should get whip, magic wand, garlic. Oh, axe is candelabra. Okay, whip, magic wand, garlic. Okay, we can do that. Absolutely. I love being in Batland. They're for some reason they're some of my favorite enemies. Yeah, the whip will also give us horizontal coverage. That'll be pretty good. Oh, I'm realizing that even in my master plan, I guess I have vertical coverage and I have diagonal coverage, but I don't have horizontal coverage. But I guess I do, like, if I have King Bible and garlic, technically that still gives us horizontal coverage because they circulate. They create an aura. Ba-boom. I kind of wish that I was this woman. Do people do Vampire Survivors cosplays? I know that a lot of the assets are just, I think, either directly pulled from or reskinned from Castlevania, I have heard. So I guess maybe they're Castlevania cosplays with a twist. It would be fun to do a Vampire Survivors cosplay where you try to replicate the effect of that character's weapon. So, I mean, for this lady, you're just tossing glitter around, which isn't very environmentally friendly, but it's something. It sure is fun. It's fun, but also probably would annoy all around. Okay, I truly, this is not working out the best for us. We need a quicker cooldown. We need better damage causation. Oh! Magic wand, baby. Do that. That'll be helpful. Ooh, excuse me. Let me just squeak by. Ooh. The other thing, whip garlic. And then I have one left over. Parmesan cheese, perhaps? Are you saying to, like, sprinkle around Parmesan cheese? Because she's Pecorino, her last name? Oh, that would be so funny. Oh my god. It would cover the convention stink with a whole new kind of stink. Oh my god. Oh, that's amazing. Oh god. Oh shit. I think I have my green screen set up closer to my chair than usual and I keep bumping into it. Okay, okay. I said axe, right? Did I say axe? I said... What the fuck? I said garlic and magic wand, and I think I... Whip! It was whip, it wasn't axe. Good job, Natalie. Good fucking job, girl. We just averted disaster. You know what? I'm gonna headcanon that her sparkles, as perhaps we've established, are just a bunch of, like, different kinds of grated cheese. And maybe they're, like, garlic-touched grated cheese. Maybe there's a little pimento cheese in there, and that's why it causes damage. I think pimento cheese would damage even the hardiest of soldiers. Yeah, I think I am content with this headcanon. Alright, Pecorino, or whatever your name is, girl. It'll never change. You're Pecorino now. Oh man, I'm just trying to imagine how this would work. I feel like I'd need to make There are those confetti launchers that work with compressed air, right? Could do that, but with, like, parm and pecorino romano. Cheese gun? I think I could get... I could totally do, like, a GoFundMe for a pecorino romano gun. I think it would... Yeah, I think it would add to the flair. Like, in more ways than one. It would, like, physically and literally add to the flair, and then also just make it fun. And then maybe you add a little bit of confetti. Like, you can dye cheese whatever color you want, right? Because they dye cheddar orange, like, as a means of identification. So maybe she dyed her Parmesan, like, pink and green and purple and blue and whatnot. And then that's why it's colorful. We wouldn't even need the confetti. Like, the Parmesan, the cured cheese, the cured cheeses are the confetti. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the orange of cheddar is a lie. If it's not, like, a color of, like, fungus or mold, I'm pretty sure it's just dye. And I can't remember if it's just used as a form of identification. We can double check this information, but I think that might be correct. Because there's nothing that would cause the cheddar to become orange. It's still just aged milk. Aged, processed, curded, etc. milk. I know, life is so mean. I don't know why my joke was gonna be, at least pimento cheese will never lie to you, but I think pimento cheese is made of lies. Can't trust that bitch as far as you can throw it. And you can throw it pretty far, so maybe that means the opposite of what I mean it to mean, but you know, it's fine. Everything's fine. Everything I'm saying makes perfect sense. The logic is logicking. The bats are dying. They're disintegrating. Under the scope of my pecorino romano compressed air gun. Oh yeah. I have never wanted to construct something more powerfully than I want to construct this frickin' pecorino romano gun. Duplicator is for lightning. We're just gonna keep boosting up our Song of Mana. Beautiful. If this is the Song of Mana, and she's tossing up cheese flakes as we've determined, does that mean that a mana potion in the world of Vampire Survivors is simply a cheese drink? Hold on to that for a sec. Mentally hold on to that. Gross. Cheese drink. I have no idea what I just upgraded. Sometimes I do be just pressing buttons. Please forgive me for that. My brain will make a decision and then I will become cognizant of the fact that a decision is being made. It all happens so quickly. They grow up so fast. Let's do Magic Wand. She can be pretty powerful in endgame. Especially once you actually get the final form of it and it just doesn't require cooldown anymore. It just shoots constantly. It's pretty damn cool. I too shoot constantly. God, I love this column of power. Then the bats run into it, and it's like a mosquito zapper. Google's giving you more info than you can care to type, but it is in fact colored orange. Okay, I'm glad I wasn't spreading misinformation on that front. Yeah, there are some cheeses that have naturally occurring colors, but they're not usually that extreme. Unless it's the, like, blue mold of blue cheese, or it's a cheese that's got, like, fruit in it. But those are usually fruit and stuff like that. It's usually added after the fact anyway. It's kind of mixed in. There is a cheese channel, a cheese YouTube channel that sometimes my partner and I will peruse, where it's a guy who makes a lot of cheese. He makes cheese, he helps other people, like, figure out what the hell is going on with their cheeses if they're making cheese and it's going wrong for whatever reason. It's interesting. Okay, yeah, it's a natto. Yeah, it's not like they're like hitting you with a red 40. That would be wild. You look at your cheese and it's got like blue 52 in it. Although I was really pissed off to find out that a lot of big pickle companies put dye in their, like, in the pickle juice in the jar. I'm like, why? Why are you doing that? Like, the pickle juice does not need to be unnaturally yellow. No one asked for that. It's not necessary. Yeah, well, here's the thing. Oh, shit. Shit. Hold for a sec. I was locally recording, but there's not enough space on my laptop to do that, so whoops. I completely, like, lost my train of thought, but I was talking about pickles. I don't need my pickle juice to be yellow. American cheese does work. Like on this morning's egg sandwich that Dora took a nibble of and made me sad. Like a nice slice of American cheese on like an egg sandwich. There are very good applications to American cheese. I can respect it being your favorite. I think I'm partial to. I'm such a basic bitch. I love a basic old mozzarella. She's versatile. She's got a good texture, a nice flavor. You can get a good stretch out of a mozzarella. I think I tend to like the mild cheeses. You got a nice Colby Jack, a nice Monterey Jack. Obviously the Parm, the Pecorino Romano. Yeah, oh, Colby Jack is such a good one on crackers. I like to get myself a nice little, like, rosemary or garlic cracker. You get your Colby Jack. I like tomatoes a lot. I know a lot of people don't fuck with tomatoes, but I do, so I get some, like, cherry tomatoes. And I make myself little cracker sandwiches. Have my little cherry tomatoes. It's... I was eating that for meals for a while, actually. Because I was struggling to really, like, put time and effort into cooking, and I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can figure out something that my brain will interpret as a snack, but my body will interpret as a meal, and that worked. Ooh, a little bruschetta. Oh, I love a bruschetta. Freaking tasty. I have a terrible little pimple in my ear, and I keep forgetting and going to scratch my ear and then feeling incredible pain. Because it's an angry little thing. It's buried in there. It's trying to destroy me. Oh, man. Okay. Now... Oh, I just realized that I was supposed to wait for the ebony wings so that I could upgrade the pichon. That was the whole fucking point, and then I didn't. I grabbed the garlic and said, Natalie, what is going on here? I made a mistake. We were trying to get the ebony wings. Well, I guess we'll carry on now instead. Just keep going. I wonder, there's probably something you can unlock by using the mana poetry Pecorino Romano Pillar of Death for like 20 minutes or whatever. I think that's the usual unlock threshold, is the 20 minutes. So let's see if we can open up whatever it is we can use to upgrade the Pillar of Cheesy Destruction. Honestly, Pillar of Cheesy Destruction is just a code name for a block of Velveeta. I have learned a lot about the American cheese life and industry, I feel, in recent times. I don't know why. Maybe it's probably just because I've been able to eat cheese recently, where previously I couldn't. Ugh, my hair's touching my neck, and usually that's okay, but today it's driving me crazy. We've all had them days. Let's just, you know what? Let's be lucky. Let's tell Google, yeah, actually, I do feel lucky. Jeez. Oh, heck. Can't even see. No, get these wolves away from me. Oh, the ghosts are pushing the wolves towards me. It's fucking rude, dude. Woof. Ooh, that might be... Do you think the werewolf community finds it problematic that when something's kind of bad or you're expressing like a ugh about something, we say woof? Like I want the werewolf community. I would love to... Honestly, I think I eventually need to write like a comedic but full of heart fantasy book in which I employ all of these silly little ideas that I talk about on stream. Like last stream how I was talking about the frickin'... We were playing Fields of Mystery and I found a mana potion and I was talking about how it just looks like it would be blueberry flavored. And one of my viewers was like, oh yeah, that would definitely dye your tongue blue. And I went on this entire tangent about like mana doping in the wizarding world. And the idea that the wizards have isolated themselves from society in a way that makes them unaware of just regular human products and developments, like intense artificial dyes, and how the, like, chosen one who's from the human world and the, like, protege who's part of a sketchy family but wants to make his own way but doesn't know how to, and so he acts like his family anyway, like, are getting at each other's throats. And instead of it being the typical, like, it's two jocks jostling for dominance, they're actually two huge nerds who are trying to come out on top of the class and, like, have good grades, and they're actually duking it out for valedictorian. And the human learns about mana doping, and he realizes that the wizarding world isn't aware of, like, the concept of strong dyes, so he pours a packet of, like the like, electric red Gatorade powder will stay in your tongue. So he pours a packet of that into his rival's drink. And this rival fails a test for mana doping because it's easy to check if you've consumed, like, mana potions of any kind because it'll dye your mouth. And people try to get around it by, like, you know, stick it in up your ass or pump it into your veins, but it'll kind of fuck you up if you do that anyway. Anyway, this is a whole thing I was talking about last stream. And someday, I feel like it'll be... You're born until that last. Well, I figure that at least someone's gonna try putting mana potion up their ass. Like, they're teenagers, they're stupid. People do that with alcohol and it's really dangerous. Don't do that. But I don't know if we're aware of Rainbow Rowell. She's a writer, but she wrote that really, like, everyone was obsessed with that book she wrote, Eleanor and Park, but it's like, yeah, it's that, like, ugh, the, like, unfortunate, like, woof. Oh, what are we doing? His name is oof. Did you try to learn about, like, people of other cultures before you wrote this book? But unfortunately, I read her Simon Snow book, Carry On, at, like, a really, I don't know, it was a really vulnerable time in my life, and it really stuck in my heart. Something about it was really, I don't know, it deeply stayed with me. So even though I do not like her, and I think she's done some weird bullshit, I think very fondly of that story she wrote, because she talks about it how, like, it grew from a place of, like, okay, but what if Draco Malfoy had been able to change? Like, what if he'd been able to escape the grasp of his parents and his family and everything they were tied into? I'm like, okay, I fuck with that. Oh, really? Interesting. Eleanor and Park is one where, like, one of the main characters is, I think is Korean, and first of all, his name is Park, and that is simply not a first name. Like, maybe I'm wrong, and Korean folks can correct me, but Park's not a first name. But also, he's like, his parents, I think, find it really important for him to do Taekwondo, and I don't know, it's just one of those where you look at it and you're like, well, the stereotypes, and it just grows from there. It's been a while since I've read the book. I think I read it in, like, early high school, late middle school, but it was all the rage. It was one of those love stories. But anyway, just what I was gonna say is that if I write a little fantasy book based on these silly ramblings of mine, I think they'll probably be in the vein of Carry On. Just very self-aware. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Self-aware, not overly self-serious, but hopefully with like a very with a really tangible feeling of like a very tangible, genuine heart to them. That's the intent. And I guess I can use these things as motivation, because I think I've been reading so much Brandon Sanderson that my mental bar for how well developed my world needs to be has skyrocketed, and it's skyrocketed like unnecessarily. Ooh, we got a 3. Like, because Brandon Sanderson does way, like, a lot. Like, way too much. And I'm realizing, like, my brain, I've kind of, like, latched onto that in my mind. And I don't need to, excuse me, I don't need to build a world the way Brandon Sanderson has built a world, first off. And I think that in the first book I write, it's probably going to be intensely character-driven, because that's the thing that I think, it's not that I find it easy, but it's the thing that I struggle the least with in my writing is, like, the dialogue and character interactions. And I struggle more with constructing a world in a way that feels believable and engaging, but doesn't feel like I'm just taking a paragraph to pause the story and tell you, like, a bunch of bullshit about this world. And I feel like a lot of writers probably agree that integrating characterization, plot, and world building without kind of stumbling into the info dumping territory is difficult, and sometimes you just gotta info dump, especially in a fantasy story. Like, sometimes it's just necessary, man. Like, how else are you gonna get across a bunch of information all at once? Which isn't to say that you should always info dump, but hey, I respect it. There's also engaging ways to info dump, where if you're info dumping in the voice of your character, and your character has a really engaging and funny or fun voice, it works, because if you're invested in the character, whoa, no, you're invested in what they're saying anyway. Shit, no. This is it. Oh no, this is it for Pecorino. Rip Pecorino. You will be missed. Yes, okay, so we've unlocked Song of Mana for other characters. Beautiful. So I think what we want to do now is we're going to play with Pugnala Provola, which I think is like provolone. And is there a cheese that's vaguely grana? Caciotta. Coughing in the... Okay, anyway. We're doing a lot. So now let's grab Miss Provolone over here. Girl, I don't know enough about cheese either. Let's take Miss Provola to the library, just for fun. I wonder how you discover this place. Let's take Miss Provola to the library, and let's see if we can combine her guns, with the mana, because it's easier to collect one weapon than it is to collect two, obviously. Okay. These are not the weapons I desire, but we'll grab King Bible to cover us on our horizontal axes whenever it decides to pop out. This is not cool, man. It's not cool. We're gonna grab knife. Just knife. Because knife is just fun. Knife gets really good when you upgrade it, especially if it's max upgrade knife. You could just kind of blast through enemies. Speaking of which, so for knife we need speed. Oh, we don't have the upgrade necessary for the guns. Noted. For knife you need the speed bracer, and for Natalie, brain, King Bible. For King Bible you need the spellbook. Okay. Speed Racer, Spellbook, etc., etc. We got this. Well, here's the Bracer. I wonder... Now I'm just contemplating how I'd go about writing this book. I think the thing that I always struggle with is that I usually am... when I start a book idea, I'm on a roll for about maybe one scene, and then I don't know exactly where to go from there. Like, going from point A to point B is one thing that I really struggle with. Like, I might have ideas for several disparate scenes, and I just don't know how to connect them. And I don't know how to make sense of time and make the feeling of, like, the passage of time work, or the timeline and things like that. And maybe those are things that you iron out just by writing. And maybe this just means that I need to keep writing, and I need to work on my short stories and stuff like that. Like the one I'm writing about, about Flat World, which is essentially, I'm trying to write about like a horror story about a creature that exists in two-dimensional space that makes its way into the three-dimensional world and upends this housewife's entire life, and starts kind of... I haven't figured out the motivations of this creature yet. I don't know if it wants to be 3D or what, but I don't know. It's something. I also have a story that I started about a Rat King-esque creature. I'm just not sure. You know what? You're right. Gotta start somewhere. Gotta start and finish a thing, and that's how the momentum builds. I also know that I find myself thinking about all of these fun creative projects, particularly when I know I am too busy to work on them. And it's almost like I can tell that it's something that my brain does, because it's like, it's safe to think about this thing now because I can't act on it and I can't ruin it with the reality of like whatever I turn it into. Yeah, I love a Rat King. Like, I love a good, like, disorderly creature fusion. Ugh. Kind of has, like, FromSoft to Dark Souls energy. It's the vibe. I'm still mentally also trying to figure out, like, the Rat King's motivation, or if it's just a primal creature seeking cheese, and by whichever means it can it can attain it. Because I was thinking that the way the story starts is the main character's roommate moves out, and that's when the issues with the Rat King begin. And the issue would be that the main character is vegan, and so all they have is vegan cheese. And the roommate was not vegan. So the Rat King had been taking tribute from the roommate's, like, stash of cheese. And now that it's not there, it is angered. It is no longer worshipped. Wherefore doth the stream of cheese evaporate? But I don't know if that's fun and interesting enough, because that feels like it's almost like it's too human. The logic is almost too human. And I want the creature to feel animal-like. And then they fall in love. That's funny. Hey, there's always space for the sapphics. Always. I don't think I am capable of writing stories in which the people are straight. That's just not... It's just not in the cards for me. If I'm writing, it's gonna be fruity. There's gonna be cheese and there's gonna be fruit. I don't know why that's... Oh my god. This does have me excited about the very prospect of writing. Which is good. I've been struggling to make my brain recognize excitement lately. Things have got me a little down. But we're ready to rise up. Fucking streets. But now we need this mana. Hello? Mana fountain? I have thus far been unsuccessful in combining the guns with the mana, and I'm mad. Like, hit me with that pecorino. Please. Please, sir. I require the pecorino romano. None of these are pecorino! I'm gonna play chicken with that chest for a little bit. Just for a little bit. I wanna see if I can find the mana and then have a chance at upgrading it immediately. Why? But smooth sailing so far. This gun is so... Man. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. I'm trying to level up a couple times. If I don't level up, if I don't find it soon, I should just grab the chest. Dang. Come on, dude. You really gonna do it to me? I think they're gonna do it to me. You're like, oh, you have the best laid plans? You have a build you want to test out? Too bad. You don't get to Vampire Survive for free. You gotta pay your dues. Your vampire dues. Is your skin even sparkly? Oh my god. What if the reason Edward Cullen was so sparkly is that he had cheese all over his body? And so when he was like, hop on, spider monkey or whatever, to Bella, she was like, yo, why do you smell rank? Time to rewrite the Twilight books. Except the only thing different is that Edward Cullen smells very strongly of cheese. God. I wish I could commit to that bit. Oh boy, that would be so good. Oh, I'd be really into that. Why? Why are these none of the things that I want? Fine. I'll eat the chest. It's only one upgrade anyway. The thing I didn't anticipate with, excuse me, this ring is that it gets caught in my hair. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for stopping by and for subscribing. I really appreciate it. You are so funny and so fun. And I will see you next week. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely weekend. Well, I will continue to think about cheese and hope for magical poetry. Alright, fellow broccolis. Hopefully the presence of the broccoli heads will summon the magical sparkling cheese column. Born of Miss Pecorino. Our fellow lesbian at arms. I don't know. All of the ladies in this game, even the nun, are kind of given. They're given sapphic energy. And maybe that just means I should play, Castlevania to see what it's like. So the Castlevania acids. Oh, come on. Come on, man. Work with me here, game. I mean, maybe I need to give something to receive something. But I have nothing to offer. The game must understand. I can no more provide my blood than I can actually... If I provide my blood, I will not win. Surely it knows this. It's a catch-22. It's like, oh, you wish for your mana pages? Well. Oh, no, why? Fine, I'll take the gun upgrade. Boo. I wonder if the best way... So now I'm back to scheming about what's the best way to defeat death. I'll probably need the laurel and all, like, the life regen and protection things. And maybe I need the wings to be powered up so that I can, like, juke death. Because if it can't touch me, it can't hurt me. That's for sure. Let's grab the spinach. Like, you gotta... You can't touch me, you can't hurt me. So maybe I just need to play tag with it. Perhaps that is one of the other upgrades I get, is speed. We'll get speed, we'll get laurel. I'm waiting for... Okay, the mana pages are gonna be my last weapon. I grabbed laurel because laurel has oft saved my life. But I fear I may never be able to test the build. God dang. Give me the wings, I guess. Give me the wings. Okay. We're doing pretty well on damage. Okay, we found a chicken. It would be really funny if it wasn't just floor chicken. Bible. And if it was instead live chickens that you had to chase down, but it would also be far more gruesome if that was the case. Okay, we are peppering the flock. Oh no. I think my heart is going hollow. Oh my god. I wonder what my nobody would be like. How would you fit an X into my name? Probably easier with Nat than it is with Natalie, that's for sure. Or maybe it isn't. Maybe having more letters is better. What am I gonna try to figure out a... Oh, let's just stay... Oh, shit, I grabbed it too early. Let me think. I mean, if it's just Nat, I could be Zant. But Natalie, I need frickin' pen and paper to be able to do this. Damn. I wonder if I would end up with a nobody. If I would be Norded. I'd be part of Organization 13. Or would I be relegated to a sadly useless role like Kyrie? Nah. I think it'd be one of the fabulous Organization 13 bitches. Incredibly cunty and cutting a good figure. Like Marluxia. Or Larxene. I don't know why I'm thinking about Kingdom Hearts. I think I frequently find myself thinking about Kingdom Hearts. See, and then I think about the Brian David Gilbert video from a while ago, where he was He was doing something with a chart and the hero's journey and Kingdom Hearts and adding, like, chords and divergences to the hero journey to accommodate the way that the Kingdom Hearts plot lays itself out. Okay, well. Okay. Okay, boop. Boop, 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 boop. Alright, Speed Bracer. Go Speed Bracer, go Speed Bracer! God dang it. This is not... These are not the droids I've been looking for, that's for sure. Oh, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I've moved on to Star Wars, apparently, in my mind. I'm thinking about Hayden Christensen's acting. Poor guy. I think I say poor guy only because, I don't know. I don't... In my mind, an actor's bad performance isn't always, like, 100% their fault, you know what I mean? There's so many people that are part of making a movie. So many people. Like, I don't know, I take Nicolas Cage to me as an example of that. And many other actors. The director can do a lot to make someone better. I don't know why I'm talking about movies like I know much about movies, though. I've actually only watched a lot of movies that are considered, like, classics or cult classics because of my partner, who's like, you've never seen, like, Alien? Damn, okay, hold on. I got you. With, I think it's Alien and Beetlejuice, and just a lot of horror classics, actually. So I got those under my belt. They keep saying that, oh my god, why did I forget the name of the movie? It's like a cornerstone horror film. It's the one in which the little sister gets her head essentially, like, cut off by a stop sign? What the hell's the name of that movie? What is the name of that movie? It'll come to me eventually. There will come soft rains. That's a Ray Bradbury short story. Worry not. Oh man. Talking about writing, and by extension reading, it just makes me ponder the world of short stories. It also makes me realize that I am deeply disconnected from the writing scene in a way that I don't enjoy. But I find it very difficult to connect to people and groups of people. I think the internet's a great way to find connection, but I feel like it gets in my way more than it helps lately. Best viewers on stream, boo? How could you insult me like that? The best viewers are the ones that choose to be here and hang out, man. I know that's not a real person, that's a bot. I should delete their message. Worry not, Dora. Worry not. She is not worried, she is in fact asleep. Oh, let's give us speed. Wow, we are really fast. I don't know why I expected not to notice the speed boost. Give me the magical page. I don't think it's gonna happen. Can I not have the magical page? Because I have the magical guns? Is there some such limit to my ability to damage these creatures? I'm disappointed. What if I stubbornly hold on to the possibility, though? I can do that. I can be stubborn. It's one of my best qualities. No, stubbornness is not one of my best qualities. I keep saying things and then feeling like I took a too hard a stance on them. And actually, I'm realizing there's a third book to the Simon Snow series that I haven't read. I haven't picked it up. And I think it's because the second book didn't hit as hard as the first book. I think it was a little rougher. But I think that tends to happen when you have a pet idea and you're kind of running with that and that idea feels precious, but iterations of that idea don't necessarily feel precious. Like, sometimes there's a story in you that you're trying to tell, and once you get it out, there's no more of that story. And I feel like that was kind of it. But that doesn't mean I'm not curious to see where the story goes. Because I think they were just finding peace. I really can't remember how the second book ends. They're finding some semblance of peace, and then somebody ran in with like, oh no, X, Y, and Z is happening, we need your help. As a way to keep the foot in the door. I hate it when people keep the foot in the door. We're gonna close the door, fucking slam it. Oh, is this when we get Gigantic Witch? I think eventually we get Gigantic Witch. Alright, I'm gonna get the armor. Because then most of our slots are filled. We have one more support slot. Oh, good! We've got max knife power. Hell yeah! The 1000 Edge. Oh, the 1000 Edge is so good. You can blast tunnels for yourself. Yes! Oh, hell fucking yeah. These waves are nothing to me. Because now it's also combined with, you know what? Fuck it, we'll grab the Pomarola. It's combined with the power of the 1000 Edge, too. When you get the spicy burrito. Ah, it's just a one pop. So it's spicy burrito and knives. I should probably... I know I'm jumping around a lot in my thoughts, but just what happens when there's a lot in my brain. I'm thinking about what I need to do post-stream. Obviously, I gotta have something to eat for lunch. After that, I should make myself a plan of attack for cleaning this house. Because as I was trying to do it yesterday, just more freeform, I was realizing that things being freeform were making it difficult because I had to make decisions in the moment instead of just moving along down the list. And so I should minimize the number of decisions I need to make in the moment, and I'll probably find it easier to get into the groove. Get into the groove! And move along swimmingly. Thing one I need to do is put the vacuum cleaner back on its charger. Because it's been sitting in the kitchen, and I want to make sure it's fully juiced. So that I can just vacuum on forever and ever. I think I might never encounter this weapon I desire. Damn. It's fucked up. How am I supposed to be the ultimate hero? Oh, here's a giant witch! Yes! We're just gonna face her. So we can hit her with our, excuse me, 1000 Edge. There we go. Oh, just the one pop. I was hoping for a beautiful 5 so that we can reach limits. And then the only thing that'll be available for me to upgrade when I level up, possibly, is weapons. And then the decisive moment will arrive. I haven't seen it once. Like, it hasn't been an option at all. Because if it had been, I would have picked it up immediately. Oh, apparently I grabbed the floor chicken. Come on. I should have grabbed the attract orb because this is miserable. Things aren't clustering for me to kill them in neat little piles. They're coming to me in disparate lines. There we go. That's more like it, fellas. Yeah, yeah, bunch up. I essentially have a machine gun of knives. And, you know, I'm here for it. I enjoy this. The Song of Mana, finally! Holy moly, finally! Oh, we've done it. Now we just need to proc so many chests. Hopefully, so we can upgrade everything really quickly. Oh, man. I need to evolve the Song of Mana so intensely. You know what? I'm gonna see if I can break a bunch of candelabras to try to find an attract orb. Would it show it on the map? It doesn't show any on the map. Song of Mana. Immediately. Let's see. Really? I would have expected to see more. It's usually... Oh, here comes the wizard man. Alright. Where are you? Is that another wizard man, or is that the same wizard man? Now hold on. Because I walked away from the wizard... Is that two wizard men? Whoa. I can have two? Now hold on. The fuck? I'm truly trying to figure out if it's just that if you walk away from him, if you walk too far, he shows up again. I don't know. It's hard to tell. If I could have two wizard men, I will. Okay, he's off screen. No, I think he just wraps around. That's really disappointing, isn't it? Wizardman stuck on the piano. Wizardman appear. Wizardman no longer stuck on the piano. Not me juggling this wizard man. It's fine. He should learn how to not be juggled in that case. Yeah, because now he's over here and the other wizard... Yeah, no, it's just one wizard man. Dang it. I got really excited for a sec. I thought I'd achieved something. I was like, fuck. I've double spawned a wizard. Only disappointment. Beautiful, though. Oh, there's a cannon. Dang it. Really, I just would like an attract orb. I wonder what it means that there's a cooldown tome over this way, over yonder. Fellas, I'll be back for you. As long as things don't prove too testy down this way. I'm just curious. There's some floor chicken. Okay, we're almost on top of one of them. Huh. And now I can get an wow. He's just extra. It's pretty nice. Whoop. Ah. So you can get extra upgrades in some of these stages. It's pretty nice. Okay. I guess I should go back the way I came, because I did kill a bunch of stuff on the way here. looking for the tome. The tome is great. Kind of wish I'd picked the tome over, I don't know, maybe something else. Ooh, but that means I have to choose among these different things to upgrade. Now. I'm pretty sure the candelabras do respawn. If I'm recalling correctly. They kind of... Because sometimes I'll leave something on the ground and a candelabra will spawn next to it. Ooh. Food. Still just one. It's okay, it's fine. We take them. It's still a victory. It's still a free level. Free armor. Oh, but yeah, I think I'm really onto something here. With this omnidirectional damage. It's pretty fucking good. I guess, I mean, the thing that I would need is, I can't remember how I got the kind of support item that, evolves the guns. And that would be really helpful. Because when the guns evolve, they get even better, obviously, but they're omnidirectional. Because they fire essentially laser beams that move in a circle around you. And if you have the cooldown tome maxed out, it's just an eternal circle of laser beams moving around you. It's really amazing. It's fucking good, man. And so the thing that you need to evolve the guns is like a... I think it's supposed to be a play on tiramisu, and it's a book that gives you a revive. The first upgrade, when you first get it, it's just one, you revive with half health. But the second upgrade is like you get another free revive, so you can revive twice, fairly certain, and that's crazy. Maybe I should have gotten another cooldown. But see, right now we're operating at a level, the cooldown level. That means that our beautiful pillar of glitter, that may or may not be pecorino romano cheese, based on who you ask, is almost constant. If we maybe hit another couple levels, yeah, it's essentially constant, which is beautiful. And then we have the little, like, laurel stink of protection, and our guns, and our frickin' evil Bibles, the King Bibles that I've upgraded. Damn, we're really working it. I was hoping we'd get a 3. So that we could grab the Pomerola and the armor at the same time. Pomerola armor and maybe even the refresh rate. The cooldown. That's the one I'm looking for. Damn. I still know in my heart of hearts that I will not beat death yet. We're not there. Because that wasn't even the point of this build. I just wanted to see what would happen if you had guns and beautiful mana pecorino romano paper of poetry. And the answer is absolute destruction of the Medusa population, of the Gorgon population. Not even decimated, because I think it's more than a factor of 10 that's happening here. Or rather, 1/10, if you're taking the literal definition of decimation. Fuck, dude. It's pretty amazing. I wonder what the companion to the mana paper is. Because they tend to be complementary. Like how with the knife, it's something that increases your projectile speed. Because that makes sense for throwing knives. I wonder if it's something... Well, it's not the candelabrador, because that's for the axe. And the candelabrador increases area of effect. I would expect it to be something that increases area of effect. And yet... Whoa. See, now the Gorgons are being aided by floating Medusa heads. Gorgonic heads. Gorgonic head. Oh. That's a bad concept. I hate that. I hate this hell I've created. Good God. Goodness gracious. Wow. Oh, we're... okay. That means... let's just go this way, because we can find that coin mask. And kind of just clear house. We can make a bunch of money while we're at it. I just need to make sure that I never outpace my damage. So I'm going to keep an eye on my health. Because if that starts to dwindle, I need to slow down. But I think the 1000 edge is just carving away from me. I can't even see what I'm doing. Oh, okay, we've got a new enemy type. How are we doing? We're doing okay? Okay. Oh, we passed a big cheese. We passed a pimento cheese log, but that's okay. Oh, okay, wait. I'm getting a little cocky here. My HP. Look. Okay. Let's not spoil the fun by dying by mistake at 28 minutes. Even though we've got enough glitter to service all drag queens from here to Montana, whatever that means. Sometimes I just say things. I know there's a chest to the left. That's just money, man. Alright, fine, I'm not close enough. I'll just grab my chest. If I could see it, I would. Where? Oh, it's further to the left. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Leave me be. Leave me be. Oh, here it is. Beautiful. It's just money, but it's useful. I was booking it to the right for an item that would give me more money anyway. Wink. Alright. We will clear the library, but we will not beat death. We are far too... We are but novices at the game of defying death. Fellas, if you could give me a little air, give me a little space. It's hard to breathe when you crowd like this. Oh, there's another chest to the left? I don't know how I even killed it. Okay. It's okay, death is gonna come really soon. I don't think it's worth muscling my way through them. In 20 seconds. I wonder if I can outrun him, because my speed is pretty high. Whoa. Oh no. I need my HP to be good when death arrives. Oh no. Okay, where is he? There he is. Floor chicken. Oh, okay. We could not do it. We're gonna need to do better. Okay. Oh, we'd never evolved the knife before? And we've unlocked hyper. Damn. Okay, cool. Very cool. So many achievements. And we have a lot of gold. We should check this out. Okay, we could... let's not do that. Let's get the duplicator and hit up max health. Okay. Do we have anybody else new? Okay. I kind of make a point of playing all the characters. Oh, and it'll tell you with whom I've beat what. So you've done inlaid library. Alright, let's unlock Porta, which just means door, by the way. Porta. And honestly, let's hit up the dairy plant once again. Perhaps the lightning ring will provide the way. We'll do lightning ring. Let's try cross. Cross is also very chaotic. Lightning ring and cross is a really bad visual combination. I've done it before on my other account. It makes it really difficult to see, but I don't care. I feel like this game is kind of about the crazy aesthetics you can achieve. And it's funny that she's kind of like, yeah, that's right. It almost looks like she's winding up for an attack. Let's grab King Bible. Perhaps we will go with the most religious build possible. We've got the crosses. We've got the Bible. I don't know what else is in here that's incredibly religious. At some point, I'm going to do a creaturely build. As soon as I can think of enough creatures. I'm gonna grab the crown. I can't remember. I'm still trying to figure out the combinations. Okay, the duplicator is for the lightning ring. And now we need the spell book for the King Bible. I don't yet know what goes with the cross. I know from playing on my own that Rune Tracer goes with the armor. And I don't remember what's left for the cross. Yeah, well, we resume. Hopefully my memory won't fail me, but it often does. It's a tricky little bastard. Like, my visual memory is decent, so I can tell you if you've left. Actually, if I've seen my partner's AirPods around the house and are looking for them, I'll know exactly where they are. My brain will store that information. But these weapon combos that I'm trying to remember, good fucking luck. Like, that's not up to me, apparently. Like, the conscious decision to remember something is far less powerful than your brain's incidental decision to remember things that, for whatever reason, catches attention or interest it. I wonder if I pretend that I don't care whether or not I remember a thing. We could do tricks. We can do all sorts of tricks. Maybe that'll work. I mean, tricks have worked before. I don't know if pretending not to care is an effective trick, though. You know what? Fuck it. Song of Mana. I love being sparkly. I love it. I love being a little diva. And I think Porta deserves to be a diva. Porta? And I'm enchanted with the idea that we're sprinkling around words of poetry and or Parmesan cheese that has been dyed various colors, because that's cheese facts, baby. Continue going on our lightning. Hey, jellies. Whoop. Well, we touched them. That's fine. Actually, what are some prominent features on your map here? Interesting. We do have attract orbs scattered about, which is useful to know. I've actually used attract orbs in very important moments. Oh, we got the duplicator. Okay. So we've got our lightning evolution guaranteed as long as we level it up. Lovely. I guess maybe the build I'm going for is chaos on the screen, huh? We're not really focusing on anything that matters in this game, but that's okay. Alright, hit the ghosts. The ghosts are the bats. Ghosts are to dairy plant as bats are to forest. Let's keep going lightning. Perhaps we'll try to get maxed out lightning before we bother with anything else. Because having an early ultimate weapon is really nice. It makes leveling up easier as you go along. Because then you don't need to worry, especially one that kind of strikes sporadically. Okay, I'm really focusing up on this Minotaur man. Send him. Duplicator. It would be cool if the duplicator actually duplicated, so if I had 3 King Bibles and it turned it into 6 instead of adding just 1. But it's okay. I know. You hand me too much power and suddenly the entire world is burned down. Ugh. Okay. This will also likely be my last little run. I know that's a shorter stream than I usually do, but I got so much to do. Got one of my Persian relatives coming by tomorrow. I gotta make sure the house is nice and, you know, presentable. I also want to do a few cat care things, and those tend to take a while. Like the litter box is already a mess again, and they've seen a little bit. I think they need a little more attention, because my partner and I have been really busy lately, and so the cats have been kind of following us around being like, please, sir, can I have some more? And so I need to do some dedicated playing time. Beans is obsessed with this toy that's essentially just a sturdy piece of wire with twisted cardboard poked through the end, and she loves it. I have never seen a cat more joyously, like, leap into the air and swat and wiggle and fall back on her belly and just pounce and run. She loves the thing. Sprout can get into it. Sprout's a little more particular about how exactly playtime is run. She's a very particular cat. She will try to herd my partner and I if we're not in the zone of the house that she considers to be the correct zone at the time, or if we are not together in a room when we're supposed to be together in a room. Like, essentially, if we have established some form of a pattern or a routine that we didn't notice, and then we change it, Sprout will notice for us. Oh yeah, let's get weapon cooldown. And the weapon cooldown is for the magic wand. Yes, do magic wand. I don't think I had any particular... I think I just wanted to play this character, because I want to give each character a little time on the screen. Okay. Fellas, lizards. Fellow lizards and ghosts. Oh! And maybe, you know what? Maybe I should grab Rune Tracer and the armor, because I haven't evolved them in this game yet. And that could be important. Completion. Ticking the boxes. Opening up avenues. Alright, so we're gonna keep an eye open for Rune Tracer. Rune Tracer and beautiful armor. Maybe we'll grab a tracked orb anyway, because, good god, walking into every single little gem is a pain. It is a pox upon my mind and heart. There she is. There's the Rune Tracer. Rune Tracer is an excellent weapon. I enjoy her. She does eventually cause chaos when you evolve her fully, because she'll start exploding as well, and it looks like little fireworks. Just to celebrate the deaths. Yes, death doesn't go unnoticed here. Not if Rune Tracer has anything to say about it. Indeed. I wish I had more secrets to uncover at the dairy plant. But I don't. I've uncovered all of her secrets. I've found her books. I've opened her coffins. I haven't waded through the milk, even though I want to. Give me the wings. I'm still, in my mind, mentally rummaging through the different options and wondering which combinations I'm missing. Oh, I activated something bad. Whoa, I stopped paying attention for a split second, and I found myself walking into enemies. Perhaps it's time to find one of those attract orbs. Oh, lucky me. I am so nearby. We gotta make sure we come back for that. Come back for that man's. He's gonna be instrumental And here we are. A lovely little attract orb. Hello, sir. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Whoop. Keep. Perfect. King Bible. Beautiful. And now we have to, there we go. There's the giant blue man. And we're just gonna keep our beautiful, I was gonna say our beautiful bubble beam pointed at him. It's not bubbles. It's beautiful flakes of Parmesan. And this will be our ring. Combined with the duplicator. Fuck yeah. We don't have the evolution for Rune Tracer. I do not know what evolves cross. I've done it before. Not here though. So the game won't tell me. I'm gonna look it up. Would that be too evil of me to look it up? It might be. It might be illegal. I might not be able to do it. Illegal only in my mind. Okay, I want to defeat death. But I can't let it touch me. Fuck! I let it touch me! We're run it back. We're running it back. And we're not running it back with Porta. We are going to run it back. Run it back with Clarici. And I'm just gonna, for my own edification here in my brain, we want the attract orb. That's what we're thinking about. Cool. We're looking for the attract orb. If we can get the double birds, that would be great, but we're trying to beat death here. Alright. Girl, let's do it. Oh, it's so nice. This beginning buff where everything's kind of gigantic is amazing. It's doing such good work. Alright, come on, Santa Water. Oh, beautiful. I should have probably gotten a... Yeah, we'll get the magic wand. Oh, it's gigantic. It's amazing. Oh. I can't remember how long it lasts, but boy, is it beautiful. Yeah, someday. Girl, you are blessed by God. Quite literally, huh? Alright. I could get guns, but I don't have the upgrade for guns. Spellbinder is for the King Bible. We'll get the axe. Get axe. Can we see giant axe just once? Yeah! But I think we're down to normal size. Nope, we're not. I thought. Whoops. Giant axes. They bring me such joy. Oh, it's so good. Beautiful. Oh, man. I'm pretty sure the axes should no longer be giant at this point. Am I mistaken? Something's going on here. Here, Hollow Heart is for axe, right? There we go. They're back to normal size. I was gonna say, something's going wrong with them axes. Ooh! Careful, careful, Clarici. Clarici. Okay. Alright, come on, girl. Come on. Ooh, green. It's the green you need. And when I look into the future, it's the green that I see. On you, little man, I don't want to waste much time. You've been pushed around all your life. You've been pushed around by your mother and your sister and your brother. And if you were married, you'd be pushed around by your wife. Well. We've halted time. We are defying the temporal norms. Fire Wand goes with the spinach. Let's do Fire Wand. Evolved Fire Wand is great. It's incredibly chaotic. I'm trying to scheme in my mind how the hell you defeat that mid-level death. Because I think last time I was in the dairy plant, I also succumbed to it. Because I let it touch me. Because I'm a little goober. I'm a dummy. I don't think we're gonna see the two. We're gonna see Bichon and Ebony Wing. It feels quite unlikely. So I think I'm gonna go for garlic and laurel, probably. So then we can get pomarola, and then I don't know what other support thing we'll end up getting, but, yeah, let's grab the pomarola. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Just to augment our healing abilities, our natural healing tendency. Because we are, in fact, the nun. Okay. Because that'll be a nice little boost. Because that means if I can avoid enemies for long enough, if I take a bad hit, I can live. I can't remember. God. Oh, it's Candelabrador! The hollow hearts for the whip! Ugh! I get those mixed up. Okay. I need the Candelabrador. Candelabrador. Okay. Dang it, Natalie. Dang it. I don't know why it makes less sense to me. Why you'd pair the Candelabrador with the... Doesn't make sense to me why you'd pair the Candelabrador with an axe, but hey. It doesn't have to make sense to me. I didn't make the game. And obviously there's Ebony Wings, now that I said it's not gonna show up. If we see Bichon after this, I'm gonna be sad. I always want to threaten with, like, I will do something, but what can I do? I'm just sitting here playing a game. I'm a little game guy. Every time I adjust in my seat, Dora briefly, like, looks up, like, we going somewhere? No? Okay. And it's truthfully very sweet. This color combo brings me so much joy because it is also the rush of dopamine. It represents it. Sugar rush, S-U-G-A-R. That's from Wreck-It Ralph. if you couldn't exhume it from your memory, there you have it. Okay, we might want to consider the attract orb soon. But not yet. Not quite yet. I haven't wandered off and helped myself in that matter yet. Oh, wait a minute. You need the red tome. Oh, hold on a second. Need the red tome. I haven't collected the red tome yet. Okay. No, I was right. I don't need this attract orb yet. I guess I could get the whip because I have the hollow heart, but I was planning on getting garlic and laurel. I'll stick to my plan. We'll get garlic and laurel. Spinach. Garlic and laurel. And then we need attract orb and red tome and candelabrador. I don't have space to fuck up. I gotta play it perfectly. Okay. Give me something good, give me something good. They gave me the fucking Bichon. Oh! I need it. Pardon me while I'm fighting my own green screen. Hey, dude. Can we agree to, like, be fucking chill right now? I need to get a green screen that's not attached to a broken foot. It's got a broken foot. And also it's, like, really close to my chair. So I tend to lean back into it. But it's okay. I'm gonna rearrange my office eventually, someday. Because I'm gonna get rid of the guest bed that's in here. and then I'll be able to have space for all the things I want to do. I might even be able to have space to leave my painting stuff out. That would be so nice. Because right now I keep the edges of my clothing keep snagging on tubes of paint that I've left on my little printer table, and I keep knocking them off and picking them up again, and it's just kind of annoying. And it also makes me worried that I might knock one over and then it'll open and splatter paint all over my floor that I have to clean. Fuck. And then that's also just a waste of paint. Paint's not exactly cheap. It's not one of them affordable guys. Even if you get the Blick or Liquitex brand, although I think I do prefer the Blick brand acrylic paint, because the Liquitex, I think either I didn't like the level of pigmentation of the Liquitex paint, or it was just that it was thinner. And in an acrylic paint, I want it to be as thick and as pigmented as possible, just so I feel like I'm getting my money's worth. Because I don't need it to be pre-watered down. I can do that myself. With acrylic paint, you also don't need any particular solvent. You can just use water. Unlike oil paint, where it has to be, like, you have to use Gamsol or Terpenoid, or there's sometimes mediums. Yeah. There are also some mediums that, instead of making the paint dry faster, it makes it take a longer time to dry. If you need to work on some wet stuff eternally. Anyway, these are my paint digressions. I have not made any more progress on my goat painting, but it's because I've been working on other projects. You are not the enhancements I seek, thank you very much. Because I've been working on the lino cut for my wedding invitation. The next step, I just need to clean up. The actual design, because I did a test print yesterday. And then I want to set up a little rig just to help me line up the stamp and the paper, so that I can reliably print the design mostly lined up. And so the whole thing actually prints onto the cardstock instead of, you know, little edges falling off, or it's crooked or off center. I want it to look nice. I was worried as I was carving the lino cut that I really bit off more than I could chew, because this is the first time since, like, middle school that I've carved anything like that. And my design had a lot of curves on it and small details, and there was letters and writing, which are all things that small curves and letters apparently are the most difficult things you can carve into a lino cut. But the letters look nice. They're legible. Most of the curves are curving, and if they're not, they're stylishly straight. And it's all good. Alright, this game is fighting me. This game is choosing violence right now. I am feeling incredibly unlucky with my selection here. Although, I will say, my success with this lino cut makes me excited to do more. And I know I've been mentioning this on streams, but I'm just excited, so I'll mention it again. I love the idea of selling, like, of being able to, of being able to sell my artwork at, like, local art fairs and that kind of stuff. The empty tome, finally. But I know that I am not great at, you know, created so-called finished artwork. Because I really like to sketch and do, like, pen drawings and stuff like that. And I realized that lino cutting could be a way for me to combine my enjoyment of art and my desire to, like, sell said art and participate in local art fairs by selling, like, lino cut prints. because then I wouldn't need to worry about like, oh, the artwork being finished, because the hard work itself is the lino cutting. And I can learn techniques and stuff like that. I love to learn things by doing them. I love instruction, and my brain thinks that I prefer instruction over learning by doing, but turns out I need both. And experimenting is fun. I think that I struggle with it in a classroom setting just because there are people around to see me fail. And I really need to work on being okay with failure, because goddamn, sometimes being scared of failing or producing something that's not the best I could possibly produce, it stops me in my tracks, and I don't want to stop myself. Like, my goal is to not stop just because I'm scared. It's no longer a valid reason to avoid making art. But it's easier said than done. Because even when there's no one around, I'll still have that feeling like, no, someone's gonna know that I tried to make an art thing and it turned out ugly. Because I'll know that it turned out ugly. But the road to making beautiful artwork is usually paved with heinous monstrosities penned by your own hand. And it's hard to accept, but it's a necessary truth of life. I won't say that there are definitely artists who don't produce a lot of like ugly art before they produce something that is deemed like worthwhile, but it's all about the personal perspective. How are you deciding that a piece of artwork is ugly or unworthy to you, to others, etc., etc.? And I'm still figuring out whose voice I need to get out of my head. Is it my own, or is it somebody else's that I picked up over time and I just don't remember that I took something to heart? I don't know. Human beings are suggestible to the point of insanity. And it's a little scary. Like, I know that there's a lot from my childhood that I don't remember. And there are probably a lot of things embedded in my mind that are from my childhood, but I don't remember that they're from my childhood, and so I'm like, I feel very powerfully this particular way, but I don't know if I was the one who decided that, or if at some point in my life it was decided for me and I've just held on to it. It is what it is. Okay. Okay. I think Vampire Survivors is deciding to be tricky with me. It's like, you've enjoyed too much success. How about I hand you some failure and you learn how to deal with it? It's like, oh, you were excited that you found the lady with the gun? Oh my god, finally. Too bad. We're not gonna surround you with skeletons and keep handing you garbage. Go suffer. Okay, but we're doing a little better. Particularly, I feel like the attract orb does a lot of work. Okay. Lovely. No! Don't do this to me. We don't have the thing we need to evolve the axe. We need the candelabrador. Okay. Oh, it's a bullet hell. It's a bullet hell and a heaven simultaneously. We are dodging and we are the originators of the fire. Well, not that fire, but you know what I'm saying. There's an origin of fire. There are two fire origins, and one is me. One is mine enemy. We'll choose the fire wand. God dang! Fellas! Oh my god, some of them have whips! Fellas! We gotta be able to talk this out. That guy's walking on milk! Is that the opposite of, you know, Jesus walking on water? Is a skeleton walking on milk? Seems pretty unholy if you ask me. Oh, this is really scary. Oh god. All I can do is continue to evolve my fire wand, I guess. Okay. It's just one. I don't know if I've reached level 9 with anything that matters. Maybe the Santa water? Yes! Santa's bathwater just got an upgrade. That's right. I don't know if it'll keep me alive, but... Oh, here we go. Oh, no, 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 no. Next chest I find is gonna upgrade... Candelabrador! Finally! Okay. And the Candelabrador actually will do good work for the Santa water as well. Okay. Now it makes sense to also upgrade the axe. I no longer remember for what weapons I was searching. That's fine. Hopefully I'll know them when I see them. What am I looking for, actually? Hold on. Okay, we'll do axe also. And I guess the game will decide how it handles upgrading. Now that I think there are two weapons at level 9. I don't know. What indeed was it that I wanted? Oh, probably, was it the garlic? Was it garlic? It wasn't the whip. What the hell was I even looking for? Oh, oh! It's a coin rush. Gold fever. Oh. I wish my brain could have conjured the kiss joke that I reached for. It couldn't, so you're spared for now. I wonder what my plans were. Surely I had plans. What were they? Were there plans in place here? It was not garlic and whip. You know, okay. Perhaps it was garlic and whip. I may never know. Truly. My own mind is inscrutable to me. Care to scrute my mind? What? Oh yeah, Laurel was definitely one of them. It was probably garlic and Laurel. Screw my mind. Boo. Somebody get the gigantic cane and yank me off stage. Man. Alright, I should also probably find an attract orb. I'm right on top of one. Okay. Whoop. Hello? Okay, maybe one more up. Can you find the lockers? Aha! There we go. Beautiful. Laurel. Oh! It was just one level. Oh, there he is! King Triton! Hello! Hello, sir! Oh, right, I was looking for death. Sir, do you know where I can find the spirit of death that upon a single touch breathes my demise? Okay, sir, this is not the way to give me the directions I seek. Oh, hee. Well, I guess he got his ass handed to him before he could tell me. His aquatic ass. His fish ass. Beautiful. We have so much magic. Our magic cannot be stopped. You are the music in me. When I hear my favorite song, I know it can be. Oh. Oh, you are the music in me. I cannot explain why the High School Musical courses through my veins. And I guess I don't need to explain myself. I don't need to justify my true loves. Alright, where did I wander? That I accidentally touched death and died? And can I kill him? Sir? Where was he? I feel like he was in one of these areas. One of these, like, strange little wooden areas. Perhaps I can explore these areas then. I wonder if they're sectioned out horizontally. Well, let's find out. When I hear my favorite song, I know that I belong. Hope you miss me. That's far from being the best song in High School Musical 2. Alright, Monsieur Death, are you in here? Maybe it shows up at a particular point. Maybe it's them. We got a lot of purple rangers, though. We got purple rangers and carnal beasts. That's not the words I was looking for. They're minotaurs. From whence, from where did carnal beast emerge? I guess, okay. I know I was gonna grab garlic, but I think I'm gonna grab clock lancet instead. Because perhaps it can freeze death. Ew! Ew! Oh, it's only a little bit delightful. Not quite so delightful. Except it gave us the frickin' scythes. That's the upgrade to the axe. Axe upgrade. Death spiral. Hell yeah. Can I get a death spiral? Yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Actually, shall we find another attract orb or what? Okay. Hold on. This is wild. Okay. Because we're doing... Our damage is now so widespread and wide-ranging that we might need a little help collecting it. Did I need to go down at all? That's a whole cluster of things. Go to our little cluster. And maybe, you know, maybe we'll find death along the way. Oh, we've certainly got more mermen. Hello, sirs. Hello, hello. How are you doing today on this fine day? Have you perchance glimpsed an attract orb nearby? Or was it folly was it complete and utter folly for me to traverse in this direction? Because this is the attract orb I just used. Perhaps it was. Yes, this is the attract orb I just used. So, I mean, there's a big guy up there. Not so many things behind. Alright, we'll travel downward. Excuse me, young sirs. I am a nun. I cannot date any of you. Oh, gold rush. Sorry, gold fever. I don't know why I can't get that straight. Gold rush is the thing that's emblazoned in my mind. And I mean, maybe I shouldn't go looking for death, because I have lasted so much longer now that I'm not looking for him. Okay, we're almost there. This attract orb will greatly help us. Help us? What word am I looking for? My brain's giving me auxiliary? Incorrect. Beautiful. Laurel. And empty tome. Oop. Oh, I have Santa water. Ooh. Oh my god. Oh, we're doing it. This is great. We're melting enemies left and right. Oh, I got cocky. We're not melting. We're not melting. Well, they're not melting. I might be. This big robot is really intimidating. Never mind, he's dead. Ooh! Beautiful. Oh, and we got Evolved Fire Wand! Yes! Yes, 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 yes. Evolved Fire Wand is amazing. Oh, there it goes! Yes! Oh, that's so satisfying. Give me a candelabrador. Oh, it's beautiful. It's such a thing of beauty. Let's keep going on Clock Lancet. It's delicious. Absolutely delectable. I don't know why, but the evolved Fire Wand fireballs always kind of look tasty to me. I'm like, yeah, I could fuck with that. That's great candy right there. Delicious. Delicious little morsel just for me. Maybe I should focus on the candelabrador. Then I could just do much more damage. The area of damage be higher. Okay. I can rock with that. I'll rock with it. God, this... Well, okay. I can't assume that I'm gonna win. I got 9 minutes left, but this would be the first time I defeat the dairy plant. If I do it, if it works. Well. Sir. There we go. Beautiful. So I don't know how to evolve the Clock Lancet or the Laurel. Not yet, anyway. I'll eventually figure it out, because this game is kind of... It's what I'm also playing in my free time. I prefer not to look it up. I feel like it's not as fun when I look it up. It's more fun to try to figure it out, but I think I'm probably gonna have to write things down. Write things down so I can look at them on paper instead of trying to shuffle through the different items in my mind. Usually that doesn't help all that much. Okay. Okay. Wow. The Santa water is really keeping an area open for me. It's allowing me to breathe. Now I just got 8 more minutes. I feel like usually I'm not fully realized in my build at this point. And yet... Oh, you Minotaurs, you think you can make a dent? Well, guess what? The Santa water is here. Santa's bath water has proven to be so toxic that the FDA has created a new law against it. It's classified as a perilous biohazard. Santa really saw people selling their bath water on stream, and he thought, well, why can't I do it too? That's just what I always think about when I see the Santa water. Because it really does smack of, you know, girl streamer bath water selling. Ugh. Stuff's always so strange to me. Like, I don't understand. It's very uncomfy. Damn. I can't imagine how this would be going if instead of Clock Lancet, I'd grabbed the whip and then I had another ultimate item. I don't know if I would have been able to level up the whip fast enough. I always feel like there's a cap. But maybe it's because I haven't been playing the game right. Maybe I need to plan. But sometimes, usually when I plan, I get into one of those situations where none of the options is the correct option. We'll see. We'll see. Oh man. This is what we're looking at for another 6 minutes, I'm pretty sure. So how are we doing? How's life? I got chores on chores, baby. I would love to focus on cleaning up my office, but unfortunately, that is not the area of the house that needs the most love. It is the area of the house that I would like to put in the most love, but I think I'm going to start with the living room, and then move to the kitchen, and then move to the bedroom. Or actually, no. I should start by putting away clothes. I'm trying to create a game plan for cleaning as though I am vampire surviving, because truthfully, it does feel like I am vampire surviving. I can start with putting away the clothes, so that then I can toss loads of laundry in to wash and dry while I'm doing other cleaning things in the house. See, that's what we call the big brain. Because when you're cleaning the house, you're not the only one who's working. If you're lucky to be like me and have cute little machines that can do things for you, like a washer and a dishwasher and a dryer, the machines are also working with you. So I gotta start by setting up all my little machines to work while I'm working, and then I can come around and check them. I'm wondering if I frame it like I am checking on my like I'm checking on my mayonnaise machines in Stardew Valley. If that'll make the housework seem a little bit more appealing. I've also been listening to Critical Role recently. I started listening to it when I was teaching 9th grade English, and I was just exhausted all the time. And I started from the very beginning. So right now I'm only on episode like 60 at most. So this is still maybe like almost 10 years ago. I'm watching stuff from like 10 years ago, but I'm enjoying it. I'm not even going to say spoiler warning because this is so old, but they just beat Umbrasyl. The Vox Machina has just defeated the Great Dragon Umbrasyl. They're planning their next moves, which vestige of divergence they're going to get next. And I think that's what I'm going to listen to as I clean, because it's engaging enough that I'll actually listen, but not so overly complicated that I feel like I need to sit and like look at the people's faces as they're playing. Because also if I've discovered something recently enough, I won't be able to distinguish the voices yet. And I think this is interesting because I didn't think I had trouble with like people and their voices and knowing who's speaking, but after trying to listen to my brother and me with the McElroy brothers in the car, their podcast, and not being able to distinguish between Justin and Travis, I was like, fuck, okay. Because I haven't watched them, I haven't associated their faces with their voices yet. So I can't just listen, I need to also watch, which is really annoying. With Critical Role, I've definitely associated the voices with the faces. And so I should be able to listen. And I'll be good. And I can pretend I too am slaying dragons. And that the fuzzy little creatures that follow me around, aka my kitties, Beans and Sprout. And I'd say also Dora, but we're keeping the cats separated still for now because they don't know how to play nice yet. But I can pretend that they're my familiars. And they're, I don't know, they're disarming traps or becoming the traps themselves, because sometimes Sprout just bite ankle when she's not getting what she wants. That's true. Now I get to watch Mabim Bam the TV show. Although we don't tend to, I don't know, sometimes we put podcasts on TV. The thing that always trips me up with podcasts is that the modern podcast, the contemporary podcast, has started to come with a bit of a visual element. So you can just listen, but a lot of them now also, they're like, oh, but we have like visuals and like, I don't know, they have fun stuff on screen. I'm like, how the hell am I supposed to just listen to you while I'm doing stuff if you're also trying to show me things? That's not cool. That's not fair, man. Stop showing me things. But I guess it's because some podcasts now, they like to upload to YouTube, and I guess it would feel too weird to just upload something that doesn't have a video. Although I think that, what's the name? I forget what the name of the D&D series that the McElroy started was, but that one, at least at the beginning, there was just nothing on screen. I started that one a while back, but then I was like, I can't listen to 2 D&D things at once. That's too many D&D things for me to keep track of, because I also... Oh, fuck. No. I'm also not very familiar with the rules of D&D. Because I haven't played any myself. I played one very short game that my friend hosted, DM'd for the group. But I do want to play. I want to actually play. It's just a little bit daunting. I've talked about this before, but the role-playing aspect of D&D is a little scary to me because I am someone who is so objectively and, like, painfully, not painfully, but sometimes painful. Whoa. Fuck. Whoa, no. Oh, okay. So objectively and sometimes painfully myself that role-playing... Oh, no. Oh my god, the clock lancet. The clock lancet. I'm so... Oh, no. Clock lancet. Oh my god. Oh, come on, get him. Holy moly. Sorry, I'm just trying to talk about how sometimes role-playing is really hard. No! Shit, my green screen. Shit. Okay. Wow. Okay. Wait. The meta. Oh, I gotta scrunch the hair. Scrunch. The meta. We gotta have... Okay. I'm adjusting my mental strategies here. So we gotta completely upgrade the clock lancet and figure out, like, what the next step in the evolution is. Because I don't know what thing it combines with, and I'll figure it out eventually. But that means we can stop death in its tracks and just pummel it. Just fucking pummel it. And I guess if we can walk faster, like, we can, I don't know, maybe walk fast. Maybe walk fast isn't necessary at all. But, I see the path. The path opens up before me. Rivers, estuaries of opportunity. Oh, don't you see? Yeah, we're getting there. What do you mean defeat a total of 3,000 milk elementals? What are milk elementals? Hello? What the fuck are milk elementals? We unlocked the tower! Wow! So many achievements. So many. Hyper Bone Zone. Who is that? Ramba. Hold. Okay. I said that was the last one, but hey, listen up. Just listen and listen. Listen and listen well. Where the fuck is he? Wait. There he is. Listen and listen well. This is the last one. I need to be Bianca Ramba. Look at us. We're freaking pink and purpley. Oh, look at that. We got a new freaking tower. An edifice of science and sorcery where horror was made manifest in the name of progress. Its many artifacts and experiments may lead us to what we seek. We got a fucking Ramba Rambo on him, you know? We're just an old dude. Oh! You're kidding! Our weapon is a fucking minecart. I'm obsessed. I am fucking obsessed. We're trying for the birds this time. For the pigeon and the ebony wings. Pigeon. Oh my god, this is amazing. Can you tell I'm enjoying this? Look at the candelabrador. I don't know if the minecart will also hurt me. Time to find out. Okay, no, it does not hurt me. Good, good. These guys are very persistent. I love them though. They got little spiky heads, huh? A spiky-headed skull? Are you a spiky-headed skull? Carrello. I don't know how to say this in Italian. Base area. Up by 12. Whoa, it's bigger! It's freaking bigger. Oh, we got a blood skeleton? Ladies! You ever experience that time of the month when you're a blood skeleton? I feel like the one thing about this weapon is that it makes me reluctant to move on when I've deployed one because I know there's gems I'm missing. Fucking duplicate. Hit me with that duplicator, please. All right. What? What do you want from me? Oh no 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 no. Oh no, these candelabras are gonna explode on me. Okay, okay, okay. We're not doing a good job of avoidance. Monsieur over here is so old. He's so old. He needs help. He needs speed help. He needs speed. The drug, literally the drug. Okay, can I get a minecart right here? Yep, yerp. There we go. Hell yeah. Honestly, we need more laurel. Yeah. Whoa, who the fuck is that guy? Oh my god. It's a freaking bone dragon. It's a bone dragon, Yug. Bone dragon. No, not the freaking bone dragon, Yug. Oh. Okay, get him. Oh, get him. I did not think this game could possess such new multitudes. Holy moly. Here we go. Beautiful. It's gotta follow your projectiles around. Please give me the Pomarola. I'm suffering. I'm suffering. I'm dying. Help me. I am an old man. Thank you. Thank you for the chicken. Thank you. I am simply a little purple angel. Oh my god. How did this game just keep getting better and better? And also, I somehow managed to pick simply the perfect weapon, like the perfect character for a tower-shaped stage. I didn't realize it was gonna be tower-shaped. It was just blind luck. Forsooth, I knew not. I knew not the trials and tribulations that lay before me, and yet I experience victory at every turn. My eye for the future hath opened. Oh, fuck. Okay. Oh. Alright. It's all good. Okay. Let's carry on for a little bit. Can I get a... Yep. Ebony wings! Ebony wings! Yes! Yes! We got the Bichon! And ebony wings. Oh god, they're spawning faster than I can destroy them. Hit me with another minecart, please. Hit me with a projectile. There we go. Oh no. Oh no. No. Oh, look at this. Look at that spiffy little wizard man. Hello, spiffy little wizard man. Okay. Oh shit, I stepped on the no square. What do we got here? Probably a coin. Yep, just a cone. Coin. What is happening? A lot is happening here. Base area. Okay, we're doing it. I wonder if we can get the character whose tower this is. Also, we need to give you... Yes! We hit him! We hit him! Cooldown increased. The fuck? Alright, we need to get the red book that... Fucking... Oh! Wait. Oh, fuck. We need to get the red book that decreases cooldown is all I was trying to say, but fucking god, thank you. Oh no, not again. We definitely need the wings. He is so slow. My man's is old and slow. I don't know if he's slow because he's old, but it sure seems that way. Base area up by 20%, baby. Beautiful. I love that they just get bigger and bigger. Minecart gains. God, that cooldown increase is brutal. Ah, it's just one. Okay, but we're trying to... Oh my god. Okay, sorry. I've got things are happening in my email that I'm gonna have to check after I'm done with this run. That's truly the extra urgent, like, okay, bud, you gotta get up from your gaming stream to tend to life. I want to, though. What if I decided not to tend to my life at all? What if I ran away? Just run away. It's not true, I can't. Now this could be something right here. Because now we've got the verticals and the horizontals going. Like, I no longer feel defenseless. Even though I had the minecarts, they feel almost incidental. They don't necessarily feel like my weapon, because once they are deployed, they are not really attached to me, if that makes any sense. But now we've got glitteries to aid us. It still is amazing to watch these minecarts barrel into our opponents and take them out. Okay. Gimme. God. I require much more damage than I'm doing. I love the little devils. It does make me happy that each level is so specifically themed. Let's pick luck. I choose to believe in Lady Luck. Okay. Beautiful. I feel like the minecarts wouldn't do so well in something like the forest? Is this the only place where they really work? What's happening? The game probably meant to tell me that very specifically. Duplicator. Very specifically by how you unlock this guy, I'm assuming. Go on. Oh, that's chicken. That's fine. Ba-ba-da-ba. Bats. Oh, red ghosts. Oh, it's a giant skull! Look at him! Oh, he's so evil! How is his jaw attached to the rest of his head? What other weapon could I possibly want? I don't know, we'll take axe. I have the support hardware for axe, so... Hell yeah. Boop. Just one. Boom. That's Ebony Wing. I wanted to say Bichon. What level are you, bud? 3. Oh, fuck. Pitiful. Cooldown increased by 0.3 seconds. Base damage up by fine. fine. We do what we can. Like, I would love to see the final form of the minecart. I don't know if I can get there, because I don't know what it takes to evolve this minecart. Oh, it's so beautiful, though. I don't know why I feel at peace right now. Silly of me. Or why I'm singing Pokemon music. My mind is truly a mystery. Oh my god. And now we just got wizard boys. Oh no, no, we got wizard boys up the wazoo. That's not the kind of wazoo I'm looking for. Oh, oh fuck yeah. Oh, thank god. Oh. Oh my god. Yeah, Song of Mana. Absolutely. I would love me a little attract orb right about now. Boy, oh boy, would that be delicious. Fucking tasty. Maybe I can wait one out. Oh, I should have done the pichon. So I'm gonna trying to combine those guys. Oh, who are these little green fellas? There's a harpy lady. My goodness gracious, just for me? A harpy? Well, you didn't have to. Base speed up by 50%? Yes, please. Okay. Okay. Pomerola. Oh! Hoo-hoo-hoo! We killed the harpy and I didn't even notice. Wow. I can't believe I looked away from a queen such as her. Alright, we can do with the speed. Sure. What I'm really looking for, I need to continue evolving, leveling up my birds. I need to see what happens when they come to max level. I'm curious about these birds. Okay. Let's grab the laurel. I'm not doing so great at avoiding enemies. I'm struggling with that. Probably because of the constrained space. It can be a little bit easier in places like the forest to kind of make your way, but the tower kind of bunches them up, so it's nice to hit them. It's easy to hit them with something like a minecart, but to avoid them and still be able to grab my sweet little morsels. Fuck, I keep activating the candelabras. Oh god! The bone wheels! Bone Luigi. Oh, yeah. Laurel. Laurel, please. Oh, God. Oh, God. No. Please. Please. I can't get away from the harpy bone swarm. The bone harpy swarm. Oh. Y'all scare me. Okay. Oh, ebony wings. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to level them up. Truthfully, I just want to see what they do. Okay. I don't have... Oh, yeah, I'm not able to grab a track orb. Actually... Oh, wait a minute. There's a bunch of shit over on this side. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, no, please. Please. Okay. Yep. Oh, this don't look so good. I'm interested in what I apparently have so conveniently missed on the map. Oh, wait. There's a fiery burrito down here. That'll be of great use to me. Boop up. Grab a little more luck. Aw, dude. Fire burrito, pimento cheese, whatever you choose to call it. It's a fucking W. Just fuck you. Just fuck that guy up. Destroyed him. Get ended, man. Pichon. But this just means that now I gotta walk back down to grab all the candies, the little candies I've liberated. God, this is utter chaos. But it's beautiful. And liberating as long as I don't accidentally die. Ebony... No! Natalie, why? Just walk through him, bud. Walk through him. Okay. A giant bone wheel? Okay, we're not really... Fuck. Shit. I'm stuck in this, like, upward climb. I gotta not do that. There we go. There we go. I was gonna say, the upward climb leaves me mobile, but without XP, and that's not a good place to be. Being full of laurel, though, that's a great place to be. If only. If only you could have hit me with that. 3. Candelabrador. I will never argue with a Candelabrador. Partially because it can't talk back. Alrighty. No. It is always stunning when a creature that was a boss at one point just becomes commonplace. What is happening? No! I'm gonna have to choose Laurel over Ebony Wing. Dang it, Bobby! Whoa! Pichon is only level 3. I'm not doing my pigeon job too well, you know? I gotta do justice by my pigeons, by the Pichon! Nope. Don't hurt yourself, old man. Okay. We're trying. We're working. The luck? Sure. Okay, Ebony Wings. I think, honestly, we're doing better than I expected us to. Amarola. Pichon. Wings. Okay. Ooh, red gem. Red gem, green gem. What begins with G? Ah! What were those exclamation points? What just happened? Grab Pomarola out of fear. Pomarola out of fear. Come here. We want a minecart right here. Good. Oh. What is happening? Am I being seen by something? Pichon? What? Fellas? I fear I do not understand. Okay. You know, as long as I can keep doing my thing. Oh, that laurel is doing work. Okay. I realize I've completely halted my upward mobility. Holy moly, holy stromboli. We've got a wizards gathering. Get your asses over here. I got a minecart with your name on it. Yep. Okay, we're approaching some of the stuff that I saw up there. Oh, beautiful. Empty tome. Song of Mana. Oh, okay. Okay, but let's two free upgrades. At least. Maybe that guy's got 3 in there. Maybe that guy's got 3 in there. Oh, please, please, please. Dang it! He only had 1. But that's okay, that's okay. We live. We take these. We take these. It's fine. Free upgrades. Gotta come over here so we can release a minecart onto these. Hello? Okay, there we go. Onto these silly little wizards who think they could possibly deter me with their orbs. Goofy. You really thought I am the master of the mana. I'm the one who attacks with a page of poetry. That's right. You can't do anything about it. I am the master of chaos. Bone wheels. Oop, never mind. The bone wheels can touch me. I am afraid of the bone wheels. Oh, the dragon bone wheels. Oh, the dragon bone wheels. Oh, the dragon bone wheels. Glittery. Glittery. Bone wheels. Oh, God. Okay. Ebony wings. Well, tell me where we are. Oh, I just need 1 more. A lot of chicken, apparently, around here. I don't know why I'm going in search of it. At the peril of my HP, but... oh well. I mean, I guess, what if I find another block of pimento cheese? That would be sick as hell. Who are you? Yeah. Okay. Dang! I really thought. Maybe I should have saved this for when Ebony Wings was juiced up. Dang. I didn't consider that. I didn't consider the juiced up Ebony Wings, you know? I feel like we often fail to consider the juiced up Ebony Wings. Make a change today. Alright, eventually we'll pop another attract orb, right? Okay. Okay. Ooh! There is a pimento loaf somewhere down here. Alright, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Oh! Ebony wings. Okay. Very close. Oh, there he is. There he is. Anyone order a flambe? Anyone order a pimento loaf flambe? Oh, that was good. That felt great. Yikes. These red skeletons are so insidious, though. They just kind of spawn out of nothing. And they can spawn anywhere. Empty tome. My temptation is to upgrade my cheese over here, but if there's tome available, I gotta do tome. Alright. Damn, this is amazing. I didn't think they could make the dopamine machine even better. How did they do it? That's wild. How did they do it? Oh shit, I gotta be careful right now. Oh, I thought I had a chicken stored up here. Where'd it go? Ooh, ooh, ooh. This should be the pigeon. Come on, ultimate bird, ultimate bird, ultimate bird. Gay bird! Yes! Oh, what is your name? Vandalier! Vandalier! Oh! Oh my god! Wait, give me Vandalier! Oh! That's incredible! Holy moly! Holy moly! Oh my god! It's just a beautiful gay tropical bird. Oh my goodness. Bunch of armored fellas are in my way, but it doesn't matter. I have a single very hateful bird. I am entranced. I have never seen such beauty. Oh, I can't simply walk up. Wait, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Excuse me. Yep. Excuse me, thank you. Beep, beep, boop, boop. I'm dying. Oh god. They put baby in a corner. And I am the baby. I've been put in a corner. Please, let me out of the corner. Oh no, what was that? Oh, let's get the empty dome. Oh, what is happening? Oh, I see. There are little places where they're gonna shoot me. Ooh. Cool. Oh my god! I have space for another weapon now! Because Bijou and Ebony Wings fused! This is amazing! Now the question is, what do I even want? I guess I could get knife because the bracer of speed, the speed bracer, is over here. Oh my god! If I can even get up there, the thing is, can I even? Oh my lord! It's okay. By the power vested in Gay Bird, we shall do this. We shall succeed. Oh god. We'll do it. We'll succeed. We'll make it. Even though I can barely tell what's happening on my screen at any given time. I just need to make sure I don't touch anything that'll hurt me too badly. Oh, look at that! No! Oh, I failed Gay Bird. Gay Bird did not fail us. I failed Gay Bird. Oh, I had to say something, didn't I? Okay, I think my only failure this time was to not grab the garlic and or the King Bible, because I really did need a little bit more like coverage around the outside here for my little purple old man with the mine carts. I love the mine carts. They're so good. Oh, it's so good. Bijon. It's a really pretty bird. And actually her name's Bianca. This is an old lady. I've been calling her an old man this whole time. Pardon me, but that's rude. In any case, thank you for joining me for some Vampire Survivors. This is so cool and so exciting. And I can't remember what I did to unlock the tower. But boy, oh boy, is that cool. I'm into it. I'm real into it and I'm real excited. In any case, I will be back on Monday with some Stardew Valley, as usual. Hopefully we'll We'll drag ourselves ever closer to the goal of perfection. And then on Wednesday, I will be here with Fields of Mystria, and we'll continue to squeal over the lovely dragon Gujinka. He's great. Calderas rules. And then on Friday, I'll be back with something else. Who knows? Maybe I'll do art stream again. Maybe I won't. We'll have to see. Actually, depending on my schedule, we'll see about Friday. But yeah, it's been a great time. Thank you for hanging out, and have a lovely weekend. Goodbye. Goodbye.